Welcome to Snowmobile Sessions Live on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. It's the #1 destination to learn about snowmobiling, network with other sledders, and have an awesome time doing it. We'll meet other snowmobilers that share your passion and show your fan photos along the way. Snowmobile Sessions Live. Enjoy the ride.
This episode of Snowmobile Sessions Live is brought to you by Energy Power Sports. They're Oakville's full-line BRP dealer with sales and service to all BRP models and so much more. Energy Power Sports always has the fun in store with a wide selection of clothing, parts, and accessories for all your power sports passions. Make Energy Power Sports your source for Can-Am off-road, ATV, and side-by-sides. Can-Am on-road Riker and Spider, including the sporty F3S. Sea-Doo watercraft and Switch pontoon boats. And Alumacraft fishing boats powered by Mercury Marine. Put yourself on a Manitou pontoon or a Widescape stand-up snowmobile. Energy Power Sports is the home for Lynx and Ski-Doo snowmobiles for the entire family. Do you feel the energy? Energy Power Sports, 879 Cranberry Court, Oakville, Ontario, or online, energypowersports.ca.
All right, we are here in the shop, and we've got Jean-Luc Lemire from Energy Power Sports. Corey Jinks is in the house, and we're going to talk about all the exciting things going on at Ski-Doo. And we'll start with Jean-Luc because he's got a big celebration he had invited us out to last week.
Well, it was not a big celebration. We didn't have the 1,000 people, but we wanted to keep it quaint. We just effectively have turned 5 years old, which I'm super proud of. It's been it feels like it's been 20 years, Gary, to be honest with you. Like it's gone super fast, but what a journey it's been. And we've sold in 5 years in excess of 5,800 units, which is wow. When we do all the math and all that stuff, we started to see how many repair orders we've done. How many parts have we invoices have we done? Where has been insane. So it's been a lot of fun. We took the moment, as you know, because you were here to celebrate it with our staff, their wives and husbands and significant others, and just a few clients. We invited some people that either have been with us for a long time, obviously partners in various parts of the business, whether they're on social media or bank people and a few people like that. That's sort of the approach we took. And we took opportunity to celebrate and to recognize some of the staff who have been with us since the beginning. And at the beginning, there's only 8 of us, plus me, so that was 9. And 5 of those people are still here. So I'm really, really proud of that. And they've been along with me for the journey. They've been great. So 5 years, and it was 5 years. I went to club to order what would have been model 2021 Ski-Doo, or was it 2020 rather? Yeah, and the rest is just history. We've been pushing real hard, and although right now it doesn't feel like we're in Ski-Doo season. Corey can probably attest to that, and everyone who's watching right now, it's one of those years. It's a challenging one, but still the product is terrific. We had some nice surprises along the way, and I really like what BRP did, given that it is a unique year. That they want to make sure that they kept some of the surprises for next year. So it's just a different year. One of those not a lot of snow year. So that's what it is.
What are you finding as far as the customers are saying? Are they still pumped about the spring orders, and are they long-term buyers? Like, that's what I always said, even when COVID had that spike of sales, and you're getting all the people jumping in to try the sport, and it's almost like we needed a year like this to reset everything, to show people, like, if you're in this, you're in it for the long run. You're not buying a sled for 1 year. El Nino's come and go.
Yeah, this is, I think you touched on the right point. It is a bit of a reset year. And I spoke about that phenomenon before, is that where we had so many consumers that never tried snowmobiling whatsoever, and they just they showed up here and bought 4 sleds for the family and all the clothing, and that's nice, but they didn't know where to go, and there's a lot of education out of that. Many of them actually came back to us and say, you know what, it's not for me. I think I'm more of a Sea-Doo or an ATV type of person. So it is a reset here in many ways, but I do believe that the traditional sled head understands that from time to time there'll be a season like that. But so we do have some people still enthusiastic about some of the changes. In fact, today I think we sold a couple of Backcountry's turbo. So they have addressed some of the things that people were looking for, which is good. And
so Drew found my credit card, is what you're saying, did he?
Yeah, you know what? I'll take it down there. Yeah. But
everybody's getting Backcountry turbos this year.
Sorry,
it'd be too obvious. It's like last year with the comp.
yeah, maybe. But an interesting thing for me, and we've observed this for the last 2 years in a row now, and this is happening again, is we are seeing more and more people going to the utility type of sleds. The demand for utility sleds, Scandic, Tundras, Expedition, Grand Touring, I know is more of a touring sled, but it's got a lot more utility to it. That is soaring still. And as much as we still get, our Backcountry, Renegade, MXZ, Fanatics, we're still seeing an increase of people looking to use the sled for multi-purpose utility, for fishing, ice fishing, that type of stuff, going in the woods deep. So that's a segment that we've seen increase over the last few years. And this year again, we've got some new changes that are appealing, I think, to those people. So so I'm excited about it. This year I'm running a 2024 Backcountry XRS, that Neo Mint and Orange. So I love that color.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of kilometers on it, unfortunately.
But you, coming from a Lynx, you had a Lynx the year before. What do you like about that Expedition compared to your other trail sleds you've had?
So it's not Expedition, it's a Backcountry. But I like the Lynx. Yeah, I like the Lynx. This year, actually, I put an X Terrain to compare it to the Backcountry. It's sort of the sister-like of for the Backcountry. The X Terrain is extremely nervous, more so than the Rave is, in my opinion. But when you don't have enough snow, the lugs on the back can be a little bit problematic. So I think we ended up maybe making a bit of a mistake on my track. It's okay. I do a lot of Backcountry where I am at the cottage because there's not a lot of trails. So it's been great there. It performs amazing. But somehow, Lynx is, I don't know, I know Corey's going to get upset because he's a Ski-Doo guy, ambassador, but Lynx is just a different animal altogether. I know, no pun intended here, not because of the name, but it is a different sled. It feels different. It's not a red Ski-Doo at all. I think Neil Owen can probably attest to this. He's got both a Ski-Doo and a Lynx, and they are very, very different. I sometimes compare to people when, I like skiing and snowboarding. To me, it's a little bit like that. I enjoy skiing for certain things, and I like snowboarding for other reasons. And that's what I feel that the two models are like. So those are the two sleds I got this year, and that I put on it, and I put on a Whitescape as well. However, I will tell you, I think it's a lot of fun. It's tough. It's tough on you. You don't start with a Whitescape outing and then try to go snowmobiling after, because you are drenched. You're completely wet. You're soaked from working out.
Wow.
Great way to lose weight, I will tell you, I think.
I thought it would have been neat to buzz around the lodge a few weeks ago. Our cabins were all spread out, and even going to the main lodge for dinner or breakfast or whatever, it'd be neat just to hop on the Widescape and just zip over, right? If you need to do anything. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's just a very, very different type of sled. It's not trying to be a regular snowmobile. It's not something you ride on the trails because you will fall. You need deep snow for it, but it's a lot of fun. Once you get the hang of it, the 20 horsepower is plenty. The lightweight of this thing is just it's a lot of fun. It's not something you wear a full helmet on though with a visor. You need a snow cross. You need the wind to come in, honestly, because you start getting very sweaty, and your visor gets really foggy real quick. You end up actually riding it wide open, but it's great. The other thing, obviously, we won Ski-Doo Dealer of the Year as well for the district, so I was really, really happy with that, and that's year 2 for us in a row.
Nice, congratulations! You guys earn it though, man.
Hard. Yeah,
you guys earn it. Everyone I send your way has just got nothing but good things to say, and I love hearing that.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome, and we got a few more things we're working on, so stay tuned. But it should get exciting for us. Yeah.
Here's a good question that Jean-Luc you might be able to answer. Sled Too Fast. Yeah. Is BRP trying to push the same volume of sleds to dealers for model year 25, given the current sled market?
So that's a great question, and of course I don't know about other dealers, but I will tell you a couple of things. It'll vary by region because certain regions got more snow than we did, right? And so it'll vary by regions and by segments. But I will say this: BRP has been, I think, hearing what the dealers have been saying. You know, they see the data. If we're not doing registration, they see the sleds are not selling. They know exactly how many we got in stock left. They know that chances are, there's an algorithm of how many we share our data on pre-owned units. So they know what we have. Certain dealers, have more pre-owned. They may not have as many new left, and some vice versa, and some a balance of both. But they do try to, take a look at it holistically, and will address the markets as they need to be addressed. There could be a place in the U.S. where they're just booming, and but certainly in our region, the expectation will not be increase in volume because we will have we'll have a lot of sleds left. We do today. So
yeah, and that's the thing he asked earlier. I'd like to hear Jean-Luc's take on why someone would upgrade with the low trade-in values / saturated used market. Is the values that low, or what are you finding from the dealer level?
Yeah, so I'll tell you this because in previous past life, as you probably know, I used to work in the car business, and so in automotive, it's much the same. It comes down to it's not that they're devaluing faster. It's the availability in the marketplace, and it could mean like your Expedition is worth more than a Renegade, traditional Renegade Adrenaline, because there's just more of those in the marketplace. So there's so many different factors. But there's no doubt that with offerings from the manufacturer, whether it's incentives on interest rate or cash discounts, that puts pressure on the value of the pre-owned sleds, right? Or any models for that matter, whether it's a Spider or a boat or anything like that. When the demand is not there as much and there's ample inventory and you apply pressure with incentives, obviously it's going to push down the values of the pre-owned sleds. There's no doubt about it. This is not dealers trying to try to, many people say that we try to steal the trades. We have to make a reasonable profit on these sleds because we have to carry them. But people don't understand, this is actually hard cash that a dealer has to fork out, right? Because those units are not financed, they're not on the floor plan. So we're bearing the cost of these units, and we will do so between literally Feb all the way now to October, November. So it's a lot of months to have this thing sitting on your shelf, taking valuable space, and it basically ate your pockets. So it's a balance. It's a balanced approach. It's like anything else. But yeah, there'll be some pressure on pre-owned for sure. That's just that's the market. That's just how that works.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think there's enough incentive as far as the advancements go that have launched this year, which we're going to talk about today, that kind of make you want to steer yourself into a new sled. I'm not going to lie, like the improvements in that front end are dramatic. It's I hate to say game changing because it's been used way too much, but it's industry leading and industry changing as far as what they're doing there. So let's get into Corey Jinks. He's been waiting quietly up there, and we'll keep talking to Jean-Luc. Keep hanging around.
Great. It's I feel like a region worker. I just get to stand around and watch.
Yeah, you're typical. You're like me in a work Zoom meeting. You just. So how's your winter been? You've seemed to be getting a lot of riding in this year on that comp.
Optically it looks like it. I'm making do just like everybody else. You have to be willing to go when there's snow and willing to move some things around to make it happen. Like if you're like, oh, we're gonna go riding next week from this time to this time, you can't hope that it's good. You got to go when it's good, and you just pack your things and you head out. And luckily, I've got a pretty good core group of riding buddies that live pretty locally that we can jam some stuff into a trailer and head out. Pretty drop of a hat. Those firemen, they have a tough schedule, so logistical freedom for those guys. But yeah, it's been like I'm half of what I would normally have at this time. It does feel like I have made the best of it. I don't think I could really have many more than I already do without literally not working and having a legitimate personal life. So
family. You got a young one at home as well, and that always plays into it, right?
Yeah, and she can't quite hold on the handlebars yet, so we're taking it easy there. But to full circle back to even what JL was saying about sled stuff, like it is definitely exciting to see what Ski-Doo's launched, and we're obviously going to get into a lot of the up and comings and what there is to look forward to, and then looking at my sled I have and it having the least amount of miles I'm ever going to have on a snowmobile, probably going, but obviously my situation is a little bit different than a lot of people. But, I look at, someone asked me today, hey, like I'm kind of interested in your sled. What would you sell it for? I don't even know. I have to really see what the marketplace is going to, I'm scared to even throw out a number that is either going to be offensive on the high side, or I'm going to let it go for maybe, just too cheap. But it's hard to know that yet. It's hard to see what Kijiji is saying. I mean, there's obviously the guys that throw some pretty crazy pricing out there and hope for the best. So we'll let the marketplace dictate it, I think, in the coming months and see. I am a motivated seller, so if someone's got some money, hit me up.
Yeah. So go ahead, Jean-Luc.
No, I was going to say I might hit him up, but just a quick note on that is that one of the challenges in a market like this, when snow is almost vanished completely, we now have to project ourselves into the market October, November, December. And that's the challenging thing for any dealer or any consumer who's looking to sell their sleds. So to Corey's point, some people are putting some crazy numbers. We've seen this year again, some people attempted the COVID pricing, a comp for $40,000. We've seen it, right? But it just, unfortunately, that's not going to work anymore. There's a readjustment. The challenge is, no one has a crystal ball. Where will the market be in the fall? It's we just don't know. But that old adage of, I don't know how many consumers would come here and say, oh, the difference should be no more than $1,500 to $3,000. That's not how this works. It's not a simple math. I wish it'd be that simple, but there's a lot of factors and indicators you got to look at.
Well, I think that's the thing. If you spring order too, like you can't really go by interest rates today either, because if you look at the way that the market's going, it looks like they're coming down. So in the fall, when it comes time to pay the piper, it could be a better situation for people than it is right now. It could be worse too, but by the way that the metrics are looking, it's looking like the end of this year is going to be more positive in the form of interest rates and things like that. But I mean, that's just speculation. So what your comp 850, I want to hear. I haven't really talked to you much since we wrapped it. What's your thoughts on it? Has it been above your expectations? Has it been what you thought it was going to be? What are you thinking?
I think it is exactly where I thought it was going to be. and that's why I like it so much, because at first, you know, when the internet gets a hold of all the information at launch, you know, turbo, 15 horse and blah, 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 they think this thing is going to be, you know, 140 mile an hour sled out of the box. And it's not what it's going to do. So with the expectation of knowing exactly what this sled was going to do for me, it's met all my standards and more. It's so much fun to ride. It's just there's so, well, bring it back. There's just so many things to go on about it other than just the turbo, that this year's sled's been my favorite, hands down. Between the handling, obviously the responsiveness, the linear power of the turbo is amazing. I have no gripes with it. Mine's been great. Ice consumption has been little to none. I would say I'm a pretty aggressive rider, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Oh, I've witnessed it. Yeah.
When some guys had got their hands on turbos even before me, and you know, the internet kind of, I don't know why, but they got hyper fixated on ice consumption, which you don't buy that sled if that's what you're worried about, you know, putting $30 jug of ice in it a couple times a week or a month. You know, that's not why you buy that sled. So thinking I was going to go through a lot, I've got a shelf of it, and I've maybe put a Gatorade bottle's worth in it all season so far. So very impressed with that. Very impressed with the power. It's the handling, which we'll get into with the updates on the RAS RX front end. But this sled, it handles the best out of any sled, like I said, I've ever had.
That's
so
awesome.
Imagine now if you couple that with that new front suspension. I think, you know, like the balance of that sled, from what I hear anyway, I have not tried the comp with the turbo. I had one on order, and you saw it, Gary. Actually, I think that's the one behind you. That was supposed to be for me, and I, you know, I had to let it go because I couldn't find time to ride. So,
yeah, wild. No, it's said, and that's the thing. Neil Owen, I talked to Neil at the 5th anniversary event, and he said the same thing. He hasn't went through a jug of ice, and he rides hard as well. Like but his thing was, you know what? I ride when it's cold, so that ice is going to burn more when it's hot, and because it's keeping your intake temperature down, right? That's what it's all about. So he said if you're riding in cold weather, you shouldn't be using any ice, right? And I went, that makes a lot of sense. So. Masser says he wished it makes turbo noises. Does it make any turbo noises?
It really doesn't. They have really, like, they've kept that noise under control. There is certain situations that you will catch a little back flutter, and for me, it's very satisfying. You know, when you go full wide open to no load on the track, like if you're coming and the right RPM and the right speed, and all of a sudden the track goes from load to no load, and you let off. It does give a little back flutter, and it does make you smile under the helmet. I mean, I would be a liar if I said I wish it didn't make, or I wish it didn't make more noise, because that would be very satisfying to me. The 900R and the wastegate that has, like, it's very satisfying to ride that thing. It could be slow as a turd, but if it sounds good, it just makes it seem like you're going fast. I mean, it's like the whole premise of why people put cans on their sleds, because it feels fast, even though it's slower now. So
yeah. No, it's funny because we rode with Mike Galitz with his 900, and Drew and I laughed so much over the weekend. There's one in the video I'm putting out. I'm hoping it's live tomorrow, but Galitz, we're doing flybys on the trail, and everyone's like ying 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 on the 2-strokes, and Galitz goes by, but like I said, it farted at me because it was just this back flutters. It's like, but it's so awesome to hear the noise. Like, it's not negative.
Every time I got on his sled, it's like I could just drive 20 kilometers an hour in a parking lot, just getting it some load and just backing it off and hearing the wastegate. It sounds so good. And yeah, like I've heard that about the comps, that there is no wastegate like that. And I don't know why they would have, because the mountain sleds, even the bone stock mountain, it's tons of flutter from the turbo. So I don't know what they changed from those two. Obviously completely different systems.
I wonder if it's elevation that causes that. I don't know.
You might be onto something.
Well, because they would have to run more boost pressure at higher elevation, so your wastegate pressure is way more open. So that actually might be something to do with it.
It might be up to it too. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. We got quite a full house here tonight. Massart was first in, and I got a great photo from him. You guys are gonna love it. Jinksy's been active in the chats, and Lapointski's in the house. He's gonna love the video tomorrow. Byrne, he's come to join us tonight. Greg Kelly, Sled Tube, that's a great guy. He's got lots of good questions like we've already seen. Corey Brock's moderating. Uncle Buck says, evening, everyone. Rob Reinhardt, he was talking about the Lynx outdoor hobby guy is a hoot. He's giving me some French lessons, Jean-Luc. You're going to see that. Dirt Nasty Moto, he's in there. He says winter's basically over, but I can hear that from an ATV guy like him. Yeah, Master says big episode here. All-terrain TVs in the house. What else we got? William McCleary. I ran into Ron Kesselut yesterday at Edgewater Park Lodge. He says say hello, and he was hoping to run into Corey on Saturday. You and Corey. Walleye Wiz is here. Who else? Sorry if I'm missing anybody. I'm just quickly firing through the list here. It goes on and on and on and on and on. There's 62. Jimmy G. I missed that one. Yeah, so they're there. So maybe outdoor hobby guy will give us some French lessons in the chat. So yeah, Jean-Luc, you'll like the series from Lodge Sessions this year. We got lots of good French in it for you.
Yeah, again, another session I did not attend. Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
This one was tougher because this was late notice and you're a busy guy.
Yeah,
so it's all right.
Yeah. So
next year.
I didn't know that village bozo is a French term though. When he said that I'm the village bozo, what does that mean? Does that mean
village idiot?
That's what it means.
You don't need to translate it for that one. Bozo means the same thing.
That's a rough translation. That's
yeah. I think he might have read my script wrong. Who knows? But we'll get there. Yeah. So
the guy that's always in the bushes.
That's right. So no, he's done some good things. So yeah, that's cool. Drew made it fart. Lapointe, he says. Yeah. Jean-Luc Galitz was stuck in the snow and he's in this big hole. I thought someone had killed a bull moose, and Galitz was in this hole where he landed, and at the back snow flap of his sled. And Drew gets on there to move it out of the hole. It goes and it just shovels this huge amount of snow. Insult to injury. Galitz's face, he had no helmet on, and down the front of his jacket, it was like a 6-inch thick layer of snow.
All I'm gonna say is this: what happens when you give a guy that all he knows is you got to build the RPMs on a 2-stroke to get it to move out of a deep hole. I didn't know that 4-stroke was just gonna happen like that.
And I didn't catch it on camera, which is the worst part. But yeah, so was it the sled or was it Drew that the fart noise? Don't break my toys. Yeah,
it's just gonna be like the 2018 that's in the trailer. Look, it's also got a frozen rear.
Yeah,
skid.
so no, that's cool. What do you, Jinksy, like the 2018? We're gonna see some pictures and stuff, but what are you most excited about on the 2020 the 2025s?
Well, being a 2-stroke guy, I always tend to funnel my attention towards the MXE line now, and being really impressed with the sled I have, I didn't think I could. You never think you can be impressed more, but with the new front suspension and the new spindles, like that's gonna 20% less body roll supposedly, and that's already hard to believe with how this sled handles now. I was very impressed, so that'll be very cool for the people that can take advantage of it. The module within the gauge that everyone's been very keen on getting is huge, so that's a nice step in the right direction. Us in Ontario might be a little bit yet, but our rest of our friends everywhere else will get the benefit from that, which is super cool. You
had Smart Shocks last year on your 23, and then your 24, you've got the new the Pro 40s. What are your thoughts? Does the comp need Smart Shocks like they've come out with this year, or would you still order it with the Pro 40s?
Well, being completely transparent, I ordered another comp with Pro 40s, 2-parter. I think part of the reason why I could get it to turn the way it did was I was able to dial that suspension like the way that I had it orientated a little more specifically for me. And I think that was part of it. But don't get me wrong, Smart Shocks are amazing. They do as advertised. Rider fatigue, all that goes way down with Smart Shocks. And I really do like it. Now, I did bottom my Pro 40s out a couple times this year. Believe it or not, they have made them, I think, still fairly rider friendly. They're not as, a lot of guys right off the hop was, oh, this thing's gonna be a cement truck. I don't know. I want a turbo, but I don't know if, that shock package is gonna be too much for me, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's still a very rideable snowmobile. I think they still tailored it down to the average guy. So yeah, the Smart Shock would have likely took that couple big moguls I did unexpectedly. They would have bottomed out because they would have went full stiff and I would have been okay. So I did have a couple interesting moments on the trail this year, but I still going to go with the Pro 40 package. I really liked how this sled handled, and I'd hate to play with it. So we'll see what 26 brings. I might do 2 years on a regular shock, let's call it, and then who knows what's on the table for us in 26. But that's my 2 cents.
There'll be hover sleds in 26.
Yeah. No, that was a good point you made about being able to fine tune the ride, because we were having, if anybody's seen the videos, we've been having issues with his 24 with the front end handling of it,
steering,
with the skis.
Yep.
And there's not, other than you can still obviously adjust like the front shock and your limiter strap, but there's not a lot you can do in the actual front end. You can't. It's just what the shocks give you. So
yeah,
good.
I don't.
Also, you can always with those Pro 40s, like what you were saying. If anybody's in the chat about the bottoming out, you can always get them revalved for your weight and your riding style too. If you're going to keep the sled, you can always go get them revalved, because I have Pro Action in my 2018 and it's amazing. I have a stage 3 valving in it, and I have not bottomed out on my 2018 137.
No, it's running good. Mine, I don't like the touch things that I don't really know about, and that's the Smart Shocks, right? Like I don't want to make it worse. And I know my 23 came and it was great, but I had those TX adjustable carbides, which going from back to standard carbide was a growing issue. And then we had crappy snow to tune with. But when I fired the curve skis on, I didn't take them off. The actual Quali Pieces Adventure carbides fixed the problem, but it was like, I'm going to throw the curves on just for laughs. And it wasn't laughs. It actually was like, I don't think I'm going to take them off. And I didn't. So yeah, so
he's excited about the new front end and new ski.
Oh yeah.
And I am too, because I think that's a huge difference. Like, we'll get into the pictures of what the ski looks like.
Yeah.
It is a seriously aggressive ski. Then they just go on top of it with the taller spindle, the lower shock angle. You get like an extra inch of travel out of it or something, which is just amazing that they can do that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a different animal. So
yeah.
They're finally listening to consumer feedback about the front ends.
Yeah, Ron Castellute's checking in from the Edgewater. He said, "Hey, everyone, just checking in from up north." Masser says, "If you're not bottoming out, you're not riding hard enough."
Coming from a Smart Shock.
That was going to be to my point, Gary. Like, there are some spring changes and things you can get into in the rear skid that a lot of people neglect, and ultimately change the front end handling by a landslide. Like if you mess with that front spring on the rear skid,
yeah,
you're changing the front dramatically, and it's you can make a real mess of that machine pretty quickly by just going in and cranking stuff and getting upset. Like
and that's why I do it. I was doing it in little steps, and started with the carbides and the adventure carbides with the 8-inch adventures from Quali Pieces, with moving the stock carbide to the outside was great. Like I had no real complaints with it. It's just the next day I thought I'd throw the other ones on, because I knew for a fact that the Ski-Doo, especially from Energy, I've never had to touch my suspension. I don't know what they do there, but I think Neil, the mechanic, knows what I ride like, and he has it set up for me when I'm ready to go, right? So I knew that it wasn't that. It was more or less just putting those 144 studs on there and having the short carbides from stock. I just had to tweak that. And I started with the wrong length of Quali Pieces. I had a 6-inch adventure with no outer, and I went to the 8-inch with the outer, and it was awesome. So they were good to work with too, because they helped me really tweak some things. So as far as
that's a
that
good
length.
point. There is a lot of dealers out there that do take setup a little more serious, and if they can get the rider weight and what they're looking to do and do that little next step. Obviously it's not an expectation, and there's not a lot of time at times to do stuff like that. But Ski-Doo is providing an amazing machine out of the box. It's our job as a consumer to be educated on that machine and know what it can do and how you can adjust it. And I mean, the group of guys we have in this chat here and our viewers, it's safe to say that those guys are pulling the sled at home, setting the proper sag. I'm very lucky that I'm pretty much as average size as they come. I'm 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, 180 pounds. It doesn't get any more average than that. So
No,
the way
you're
are and all
perfect.
that, I like that. I'm perfect. But if you are a taller guy, bigger guy, and you're on that 230, 240 weight, I mean, that's no problem, but you're likely gonna have to look into bigger helper springs because your sag is probably already going to be wrong. You're going to be 4 to 6 inches a sag.
And it's really going to depend if you're on a Renegade or an Expedition or a Lynx. All that stuff is different. I think of Neil Owen, for example. His Ski-Doo is set up differently than his Rave would be, because there are two different suspensions, and he's the same guy, same weight, but he rides them both, I would think, very similarly. I think he's a pretty aggressive rider as well. So it shows when he brings it into the shop. When we put it on the Bud system, Neil likes speed.
Right on.
And, he's awesome for sure. But so it really depends. Maybe if you're riding an Expedition, it'll be different. If you're carrying stuff or people, there's so many factors in number one, getting the right sled for you and for the type of riding that you do and where you do it, who you do it with. It varies.
Yeah, it's cool.
And that's what the best part about having Ski-Doo is actually really, I think ever since they brought Lynx, I think it's actually made it really good because there's such a wide variety of machines that they sell. Like the Renegade now to the MXZ, even if you get a 137, it's completely different. And the Lynx is different from that, as well as if you do Smart Shocks to the Pro 40s. So it's kind of nice that they brought that diversity in because it helps every single rider be able to pick out something that they really enjoy. Right.
And I think the versatility, the selection of sleds in the Lynx this year and the engines. If you're a Yamaha rider, if you don't see what's out there from Lynx, obviously they brought some sleds over to Canada because of the 4-strokes, and so it's a great replacement for that if you're a fan of 4-strokes, and perhaps you don't want to ride yellow, that's fine, but they made some colorations available in black, a little bit more black than just red, and but if you have not tried a Lynx, now available in a 4-stroke turbo and all that stuff, so I think you ought to do that as well.
Yeah, Side by Side blog has one, and it stands up.
Yeah, the one guy at Side by Side blog has it's the X Terrain with the 900 Turbo R. Yeah, and it's just vertical most of the time. Now I really like that new the Brutal that they're coming out with in Canada here. You can get that with a 20-inch wide track 900 Turbo R with a 2-inch paddle on it. That's crazy. Like that's going to be a monster.
Pretty wild.
Not what I'm going to have, I'll say that, but
yeah, for sure.
That leads into asking yourself what you are as a rider and being honest with yourself. The biggest mistake is being honest with yourself, and you buy the sled that your heart wants, but it's not what you actually should be riding. So that's a big thing too, because you're going to be disappointed. It doesn't turn. Well, okay. Well, why are you buying an off-trail sled and it's supposed to turn? You got to have expectations and real ones. And back full circle to your point is there are a lot of options now with the Lynx lineup that we've already seen a lot of Polaris guys and even some Articat guys jump ship to at least so they don't have to have a Ski-Doo logo on the side of their sled. But the Polaris, especially the Assault guys, you're going to see even more of them jump with the options, not only from Lynx, and we're going to get into the backcountry offerings. I think you're going to see a few more that are going to make that leap.
Yeah, the backcountry, the options, not only for the width of your front end, which is huge for a lot of them, but I clicked. So I was just going through like all the sleds. Do this every single year. I'm always curious of what you can put for accessories and what they do. If you go into the backcountry and you look at track options, there's like 8 different tracks you can pick right from factory, which I think is awesome. They got like the Cobra, Ice Cobra, the Storm, which is an amazing track. Storm or Ice Storm. I think it's the 2-inch Powder Max. And there's a couple other tracks in there as well. But I thought that was really awesome that they give now. I kind of wish that they did that for the Renegades. Like I feel like, and the MXZ, I feel like you should be able to get a Storm from factory on the MXZ and stuff like that. But I think that's awesome for those guys who are going to be buying that turbo backcountry this year to have so many of those options available to them. Because a lot of people don't want to be doing a track swap. We've done a few. I've done one now. It's not really a job that you want to be doing every single season if you spring order. So it's nice when they give you the riders that option right from factory. What track option, right, to pick.
Yeah, we're going to get into this. I sent your dad quite a few photos in there. Within some slides, we have some of the track options. And
nice.
Yeah, we can get into that too. I mean, it'll keep the conversation going, and we can show some examples. And if you're into it, you want to start the fan photos now?
Oh, it's your show. I'm along for the ride. Whatever you want to do.
Anybody else have anything else before photos come up? Then
no, I think it's good.
I think we got all the questions too, so we'll get.
So we'll just run.
Is there any way you can put a poll in the chat for me and Massart to line up our 670s next year?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a yes.
That's a Lodge Sessions definite drag race at Lodge Sessions.
There's no vote necessary.
Yeah,
Corey. That's a 100% yes.
If anyone says no, Corey Brock, the moderator, will launch them out of the chat.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I was just gonna say you've ridden with Corey Brock quite a bit. I have, and I don't know if Jean-Luc has or not. I think he has, but there's a guy that doesn't touch his suspension or his sled. He throws on the Koala Pieces carbides and he goes. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if it's a 600 EFI or the XRS 850 129. The guy is dialed. I mean, and he doesn't touch anything. It comes from Energy Power Sports the way he likes it, and he goes and he rails the thing. So
and it's always came from Energy Power Sports the way he likes it. Because I don't know if we've told this on this show before, but he was their first Ski-Doo customer.
That's right.
That's correct. Yeah, that is correct. He was our first spring order.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And he bought 5. And hopefully 6, Corey, if you're listening right now, take note. I hear your wife needs a new sled.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Corey Jinks has an 850 comp that Shannon would love. It's her color too.
Yeah, but that one will go to a different dealer. We don't want that one.
No, okay. There you go. True.
I'm just teasing, Corey. I'm just teasing.
Whoever shows up with the right amount of money, that's where it's going.
Yeah.
All right. I'll call you tomorrow.
You're not picky.
Show up in his whoever will show up to his driveway tomorrow to pick it up.
Right on. Listen, while this fast track sponsor's running, I want everybody to grab a shot because there's some big news right off the hop. So don't say I didn't warn you, okay?
Fan photos are brought to you by Fast Track Snowmobile Traction. This season, quit sliding sideways on the ice and losing races to your buddies. A Fast Track stud kit will help you with improved braking and give you the arm-ripping acceleration you crave. I put over 3,000 clicks last season on my Renegade 850, and I'll tell you, these studs exceeded my expectations. Not one broken stud, my idle wheels still look like new, and they hooked up like I was on rails in the twisties, inspiring confidence every ride. Fast Track Top Gun kits are the highest rated stud kit at 4.9 stars with over 230 reviews. The studs are heat treated stainless so they are strong and they don't rust. The kit is lighter, easier on the track, and has a lifetime warranty against braking. Each kit comes with a track-specific template for complete balance with over double the scratch lines from stock templates. All listeners when purchasing a stud kit can get a free install kit, a $30 value. Visit fasttrack.co, add both products to the cart, and use the coupon code SNOW at the checkout. That's fasttrac.co.
There we go. All right, guys.
Did we make any comments about our new setup that we have here, folks, before we get started?
Yeah.
We thought we'd get a little more professional.
Yeah.
We got a table now.
Wow, nice tape.
Yeah, there it is. Some tape. I've been scanning it all night, but it's not taking me to the Snowmobile Sessions podcast. Keeps going to Ski-Doo's website for some reason.
We also have another toy we could be sitting here, but it's a little too big for this table. We'll figure that out later.
We'll get that going.
So.
Anyway, Jacob Massart sent me in the photo. He said this is the best photo he took in his entire life and snowmobile career.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cheers. Baby Massart's coming September 2024. He's got a picture of his little mini Z there. And congratulations. Yeah, cheers. Congratulations.
Cheers, Massart.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. That's awesome news. A Snowmobile Sessions family as unfolding. I love it.
So is this maybe number one? I gotta ask. Is it number one?
It is number one for him. Yep. Yeah.
So his sledding career for the next few years is over.
No, I think he's got a pretty forgiving wife.
Oh, you know what?
He's already got the mini Z box.
She supports his addiction very well.
That's good. That's good. No, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's
for
awesome.
sure. It's been a long time coming. He told me, and I think it's awesome news. Congratulations again, buddy. You're going to be an awesome dad. I can't wait to see this child grow up in front of us all here. So just quickly go through some pictures of Drew and I on the weekend. We did the Dorset. We started in Dorset. We unloaded there, and we did the whole run to Algonquin Shelter, which I couldn't believe how close it is to Dorset. I always thought it was in the middle of nowhere, way up north, but it isn't. And I took this picture because look at the guy who has the same jacket, that big guy back there as me. So same helmet.
Those are deer tracks.
That's right. Yeah. So that was funny to see.
Oh wow.
I'm doing the good work here, Jinksy. This is your clubhouse.
This is your clubhouse that appeared to have also got vandalized. If you can see that someone broke the door handle off.
Yeah.
Right. And the key to the door is right there. The key to the door is stuck in the window.
Yeah, it didn't take very long, which is a little disappointing. We didn't even end up putting a wood stove in that warm-up hut for the reason of they've gone missing in the past. So I don't know what it is, but it is a little heartbreaking when you spend all that time and effort on getting stuff out there. Like there was that video, it is on Ski-Doo's YouTube page if you ever want to check it out, where we hauled that thing out there. It's not easy to do. We had a excavator and skid steer and doing things like that. But anyway, I appreciate the love. If I had more stickers, maybe I'd put them places, but
yeah, it's too bad you didn't know someone. But that's Corey just said in true Ontario fashion. You know what? Corey Brock and I talked about that, and it's going to be in one of the videos coming up because it was on the comms. And in Quebec, you'd never see that happen. And it's in Ontario, it's like our warming huts are just treated like garbage dumpsters. You know what I mean? And it's like in Quebec, they have paper sign-in books that haven't got any derogatory stuff in it. Everything's nice and clean, and it's left clean, and it's like really disheartening to see this. Like I went to open up the door to go in, and it's like there's no knob, and then I noticed like it's all broken and the key's sitting there. It's like, well, that kind of sucks,
Yeah.
There's also garbage bags.
Brand new clubhouse. Not even, it's a year old, right, Jinksy, or is it 2 years old?
This would be second winter now. Yeah. So it's not very old. No. And the thing is, it was also donated too. Like someone donated that for the club, and
and spent the time to make it as well.
Yeah, it's sad. So people, smarten up. If you're watching this, I know it's not my viewers. It honestly isn't. Like it's we're passionate snowmobilers. We probably all feel the same. It's probably ATVers for all we know. It's pretty close to town. I know Fred's Cabin doesn't get trashed too much like that. Now I haven't seen it this year, but yeah. So, and this is Edgewater Tavern, the Red Canoe. Ran into a few fans. There's a guy come up and said loves the show and loves the podcast, and he'd watch it all day if I put out enough videos. And ran into another guy that remember we were putting our jacket on. The one guy was watching. he messaged me and said, I seen you in the, and I went, next time just talk to me, because I'm not used to being, well, not used to being recognized, because I get recognized, but I'm not going to assume that everybody knows who I am, you know. So I'm not going to be, if somebody's looking at me twice, I'm not going to go, hey, it's Gary Grand Village Bozo.
Bonjour, monsieur. Yeah, no, I get that. But again, it's to a certain point. We always see it when we pull the parking lots. People looking at us, cameras, and the sleds got the logos on it. So people probably do, and I'm assuming that most of them maybe have seen the videos or seen our name floating around. Yeah, but I think a lot of people just maybe are worried about the camera stuff, but we can always edit you out if you're uncomfortable with being on camera. You can always be like, hey, I don't want to be on video.
I don't always have it rolling though. Like,
yeah, but then if anyone is like, you know, just go, hey, like, I don't really want to be on camera, but hey, like, I want to come up and say, I love the videos. But yeah, it happens. We see it.
Yeah. You know what? Like, if they watch the show, they're true fans and know there's no audio because it didn't work that day, or because you or I lost it fell out the back of the bag.
Imagine a world without hearing.
With it. Hey, how much money we
boycotted ice? No, this is the ice caves. This is our first. No, we went there last year.
Yeah, we've gone every year for the last few years, but that was cool.
They were good. They were pretty good this year.
They were good, eh, Jinxie? It was like that blue. We're hiding it there, but that blue behind us is pretty amazing this year.
The color is amazing, but they're quite a bit smaller this year. They're usually 20, 30 feet longer.
Yeah, you know what? And you know what?
It's the coils laid inside of it as well.
Yeah, there wasn't any of those this year. But yeah, there's a big pile of ice in there, like where the water had melted and gone down. So, and then we went to the gorge too, which is something Muskoka Mike of Muskoka told us about years ago. And then we had never got there because he sold a sled and stuff. And then Galitz did a drone video here last year, so you can check that out on his channel. And then this year, Gaetano, a new friend of ours, and he was on the Lodge Sessions ride and stuff. He said, yeah, you got to go. Here's where it is. And he dropped a pin on the map for us. So we went there, stopped in Kearney for this photo, up on the lookout.
Yep, all on the ATV trail.
Yeah.
Right out of Kearney. It's on Trail 16.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. This is recent, right, Gary? So it looks like spring now. It looks like
this is yesterday.
This is literally yesterday.
Yeah. This is yesterday. Actually, you know what, Jean-Luc, the trails were awesome. Like Dorset area was 9 out of 10. I hate to put gradings on things, but the only problem was there's 2 fairly long road runs, which really sucked. But when you got towards Kearney, it got worse and worse. Now they just had their poker run yesterday, but they got way more snow than Dorset, but they just aren't. I don't know. It's not being managed well or something. But it's
when pulling in yesterday. I was looking at the car. We were just talking to the truck with some music, whatever, and I go, "Wait, we're 3 minutes away." Like it was a concerning. Like, wait, we're 3 minutes away from snowmobiling. Like, it was leaves showing under trees, like where the trees you can see because it all melted around it, and it was like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't. And then of course, I pulled mine out of the trailer, and the shock was frozen again. So I decided we just try to ride it down the trail to see if I can get it free up because it's a little warmer. And we started right in the town of Dorset. I went up the lookout trail, and it was like, okay, so everything that's road or gravel is terrible, but once you actually got in the bush, it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
so it was reassuring then, and it was like, okay, yeah, we're good. We'll be fine.
Yeah, the trails are really good. Like,
I don't think I've ever been that sore after a 350-kilometer day. I don't know why.
I agree.
I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
And like last night, I was feeling fine. Like you got a little back from me at the very end, but I'm like, this might be the last ride. So I was just railing through those last icy corners. I'm like almost blowing. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm going like full throttle in these corners. That's a bare ice, and I'm like, this is the last ride of the season potentially. Let's hit it.
I was grumpy. I was literally grumpy by the end of it.
You were not in a good mood.
I wasn't having anything to do with those trails. That we talk about this all the time too. Again, it's like, Ontario, you can leave in the morning and it's flat as an iron bed sheet, right? It doesn't matter where you are. You come home at night and it's just whooped out like crazy, right? Quebec, you leave in the morning and it's like an iron bed sheet, and you come home and there's no wrinkles in it. It's still an iron bed sheet. 400 kilometers later.
Your dog didn't hop up on it when you're at work and do 15 spins on it, right?
So it's like, I guess I think we've been spoiled. The last 2 rides have been so good. The last ride especially was so good. So this is a gorge. You must spend some time up there, Jinksy, right?
I'm not even sure exactly where that is, to be honest. I don't know. To be honest.
Yeah, it's
Oh, so if you to put it,
101.
I can't remember the name of the trail, but it's the trail that goes Sunridge. Oh god, so like it goes to Sunridge from up Kearney. So you go off the main D. I think it's 103, but it's the trail that goes right into Sunridge off the main trail. And then when you get to it, there's no signs for it. You kind of get to it's in the middle of the trail. There's like one of those big boards they'll put like, oh, welcome to whatever snow riders, and it have like a map. And there's just a trail off to the left, and that goes to the gorge. It is on OFSC. If you look, just north of Kearney is one of those like attraction icons, and it's just like it looks like it's a kilometer off the trail because it's not like an official OFSC thing, but it is still on their maps.
Yeah, and that bridge across there is private property. It's someone's driveway, I think. Yeah, it's on the OFSC under attractions, Corey says. And yeah, that's someone's driveway. So I always thought that was a sled trail. Again, it's just like that shoots in Quebec. I always thought that was a sled bridge going right across there, and it's not. You can't even get on that bridge, although some people have jumped over it. But this is a walking trail just before you get to that little bridge off the trail, and it was well worth it to walk around and explore. It was pretty cool. So
it's the C104D that heads across Bernard. If you come from the west, you're going across Bernard Lake on the 104D. If you come from the east, you D-trail the 104D, and it's probably won't work. Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
it's the 104D. It's east side of Bernard Lake.
Yeah,
it's a cool spot. Honestly, it's we kind of wish we had a functioning drone right now.
As the old saying goes, I don't really stop to smell the roses.
You do, but it's when you're waiting for someone to catch up to you. And
I know whys in the trail like the back of my hand. I can tell you every single why in the trail and how many nails are on a tree holding signs up. But everything in between, and not so much.
Your sled tracks are the ones that all the cell service signs, are they? You know.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Greg Kelly says, hey, Gary, I know it's not Val-d'Or, but it's my best buddies and I can come up with considering Ontario trails. No luck with the fresh fish either. Cod for supper. Take care, Greg. So this is what he did last weekend when we were in Val-d'Or. So it looks like he had a good group out ice fishing here. Well, this would be he's like Dorset area.
Oh, so this is just back.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, so. Probably got there on. And Chris Watson says, hey, Gary and the gang, here's some photos of our trip to Lac Tureau. It was a great trip. It was 220 kilometers from our home. A few of the pictures is of the dam and our ride up, which there is a 54 kilometers from the hotel. The others are just in time there, which was a great experience. The cute guy is me, and no, it's not a tan. And this is Chris Watson. He's from the La Cruz Snow Chasers. He sent us in pictures, but he's got a good gang, and they love to eat, which is what I like to see. There they are in the hot tub, checking it out. That's what we need is a hot tub after riding, for sure. We didn't get home until late last night, and Drew and I almost went in the hot tub. So there's some good-looking liquor. Oh, that's a nice-looking hotel.
Yeah.
And there's a fire going. Oh, that's not a fire. That's a Polaris idling. Sorry about that. I thought there was a bonfire going there.
Oh, my God.
It looks like it, doesn't it? It looks like a fire in the background.
Do you need to sign a non-disclosure competition agreement for, manufacturing? Like, come on.
That's a great look out here. So Lac Tureau. I love coming to spots like this. It's pretty cool. And there we go. Having a great time out on the trails.
These are great photos, though.
Yeah, these are great.
So what is he on there? He's on the
Expeditions, I think. Nice. Or 900 turbos.
I think those are just Renegades.
Yeah, Renegades, I think. Yeah, look at his food. He sends us in every week, and it's like, you got to make sure you have supper before you look at his photos because you'd never make it through the show. That looks dynamite. Yeah. And then this is Wisco.
Oh, nice.
He said that the 88 Cougar project is still on the works. And he also sent us bad news about our friend Wisco side chick.
What?
She said
12,000. You're out for lunch. No, just kidding.
no, that's an American, right?
Oh,
That's a good
man.
price. It's a great sled, low miles.
Oh,
She apparently doesn't think it's snowing anymore, so it's for sale.
that is actually a great sled if
Yeah.
you're in that area.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, McKenna,
Well, it was-
McKenna is selling her sled, so hopefully it's a short-term thing, McKenna, and maybe you won't sell it and you'll keep in the sport. But
it's lady driven, but it was lady driven like Corey Jinks. You know what I'm saying?
she's a great rider.
Well maintained.
I really don't want to see the sport lose someone is like that can ride like she does, because she's a lot of fun on the trails and she can ride the pants off a sled for sure. But
Drew,
yeah,
it's
I
always
don't want this.
things. Lady driven, non-smoker, stored inside.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know what this picture was. Maybe Wisco going back to work. I'm not sure.
Is he building a bridge for
They
his
might-
local trail system? Oh, here we go.
And this is him
Where's your
riffing
helmet?
the Indy
Come on.
500. He
Let's
took
wrap
his
this.
dog on it this week too, which was kind of cool. So yeah. So now let's get into good stuff. Okay. Pallet racking for sleds. I missed that. That's what that shot was.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
the
so
store.
Lepoinski says she is a good rider. So Lepoinski should buy her sled. Go down to the States, grab it. Actually, it wouldn't be worth it.
No, because
Yeah.
I think you should just go to Energy Power Sports.
You and Brad Bender should go to Energy Power
Yeah,
Sports
the
and pick
plugs
up
tonight,
a couple
the
new
plugs, I love
sleds.
them.
XMRs that you and your son bought and trade them in for some 25
Yeah.
XRSs. You don't need a quad. Plowing snow, you don't need to do
Yeah.
that. Just drive over it.
Is this a Ski-Doo brochure picture there, Jinxie, or is this just something you're
I
doing
know,
for fun?
really stepping up my garage photos. That is via iPhone. Mhm.
Nice.
Wow.
I like that.
Almost a selfie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It is.
So that's pouring some of the good stuff.
love it.
And you know what? I'm very surprised with the oil consumption too of the turbo. I thought I was in for it. Like the old saying goes, you don't get horsepower for free, right? So you're usually up on consumption of most of the goodies, and I'm very happy with the oil consumption.
Yeah. The ice thing really blows me away, because I thought for sure if anyone's going to have a true review, it would be you, right? So
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little more specifically. But honestly, I think just because the comp is and now that we have more models with the turbo, it's way happier at a higher level of speed than a NA 850. So I think the oil consumption's down because you're not into that wide open or near wide open near as much. Running half throttle on this sled through the trail, you're moving. So I think that's part of it.
you're not in the boost injectors to like you are on an 850 to get the fun factor out of it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right? Like everybody's probably seen the Muskoka Freerider video, and he says it's in the middle, or his dad did. Is that where you find the power is compared to a regular 850?
Yeah. The mid range is lights out. Like I would say 70 kilometers an hour to 130 is his bread and butter. Kilometers for those guys on the other side of the border, but it's its happy zone for sure, and it gets there in a hurry. So it does what it needs to do. I'm definitely.
I think that's where it counts, really, because
Yeah.
that's when you're going across the lake and your buddy flies past you and you're only doing 80 and you're like, okay, it's on.
Yeah. Is this Dan's sled? Is this Dan's sled here we're looking at?
No, it's my buddy Drew. We're neighbors. Even Dan's like we're all within probably a kilometer and a half of each other. So Drew, that's Drew's XRS, and that orange crush, man, it's a good looking sled on the snow.
It is.
I love that color scheme.
But it's hard to convince. Well, he's tight wad, but outside of that, there's no sled that he likes versus that one with the color package. So
Yeah,
We'll
it's
see.
true.
Remember, Gary? I don't remember if you remember, Gary, but we had a pre-owned sled like this that you had looked at, I think.
It wasn't
Exactly.
the orange though. Like that is dynamite. What year is this one?
19, I think.
It's a 19.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was an
That's very
18. It had less orange on it, but yeah, it's it's I like that a lot.
They need to bring the Summit color from this previous season that had the orange crush and black. I think that would be a good MXZ XRS color scheme.
You know, if you get rid of that nose decal, that would really make that pop too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here you go, enjoying the comp
with your signal light set to the correct color.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can touch on that
those?
briefly. I did want to touch on that briefly because I think the marketplace is still learning. I still feel bad for not signaling. If I'm up front, I'll still give out a number just so they know what to expect. But just on this trip with me and Drew, I ran behind him and have that green light on. Selfishly, it was great. Like, not taking my hand off the bars was awesome. So I do think we will. As an ambassador, I'm going to talk with some of the other guys too, and I think we do need to do a little marketplace push on our own personal channels and try to get people in the know, because there are some aftermarket brands that have options to stick it to your windshield or what have you, and I really do like it. In Cochrane and Kirkland Lake and anywhere where it's wider and spoopier, it's quite a bit safer to get your hands off the bars. Obviously, the speeds are generally climbing, but they're wide and they're spoopier. So to get your hand off the bar isn't a big deal. But my home riding turf, let's call it Muskoka, it's tight, twisty, hilly. You know, you shouldn't be sacrificing the control of your snowmobile to let me know how many riders there are. I'll navigate that. You keep your sled on your side of the trail. So
yeah.
The light is great. If we can get more people hopping on board with that, if you're not a Ski-Doo rider, you don't have to obviously, you're not going to put Ski-Doo handguards on your sled, and I get that. But there are some aftermarket companies out there with lights, and I suggest diving into that because it's smart. I have had a chat with the MTO here in Ontario, and they do a safety week, and we didn't really get a chance to do it this year, but I'd like to see even from them, because there really isn't collaboration from the brands to our MTO here on the Snowmobile Safety Week. I'm going to try to see if I can work with them a little bit more on a little more of awareness video and that sort of thing, and try to get the marketplace more aware of that light, because I do think it's simple and it's effective.
Yeah,
I think, agree. Corey, I totally agree with you. It will take time, obviously, because it's new, right? It's not something that every sled comes equipped with. I do see it eventually. It'll become almost a standard feature because it's safety related. I'd like it, frankly, to see when people are picking up and ordering their OFSC pass. You know, you have to watch that little video at the beginning. It'd be really great to put up front, whether it's that particular for Ski-Doo product or another one, but at least it's the awareness, and it will take time. But man, 2 hands on the handle all the time as much as you can. I agree with you. It's for you to, you know, you see some people, they're struggling, you know, try to keep it together because they don't have very good balance, some people, right? So I think it's awareness. It'll take a few years to get there.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
It's just
you gotta try. That's all.
Yeah, our Halliburton videos, like someone's made a comment that this could be an ad for the signal lights, and I'm like, yeah,
it is.
I want it to be
straight.
I'm a firm believer. Now, the one guy commented, and it makes sense because he goes, I'm colorblind, so that all the colors look the same. But so he goes, please use your hand signals for colorblind. I still, since he's made that comment, I still, when the time's right, I'll put my hand out. But I think for the most part, it's amazing. And it's saddened me that we only seen, I can count on one hand how many other sleds, not in our group, have used them. And then we had one guy in our group in the middle of the pack with green on, which didn't make sense.
I'll include this photo just for the last, but it's me, you, Corey Brock, Dan and Oosterman. Then we saw 2 guys in Quebec, Corey Jinks, and that is it.
Nunzio with aftermarket.
Well, that doesn't count. Yeah. I'm counting Ski-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
And then for aftermarket, Nunzio and his wife, who ride Polaris ambassadors. So I've seen, including this photo, 9.
What is funny is I came across a few guys with when Drew and I did that ride Kirkland Lake to Cochrane. I came across a few guys, and we had almost like this unspoken bond. Like, we come rolling through it was just like a road crossing, and he had his green light on, I had mine. We just looked and nodded our heads, and off we went. So
nice.
It'll get there, and something like that does take time. I can understand a limitation like being colorblind. You know, we're not that is food for thought. Again, old habits die hard. If I'm leading, I still throw out the number generally because then you know what to expect. Also generally because they're not necessarily right behind me. So that way there's no surprises.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing. I think I'd like to see them standard on everything, but it'll take years to come out. But yeah, and this being a slower winter, my hope was that we get using them and more people look at them and go, man, those are cool. Where did you get them? Or how do I get those? And then they'll inquire at Energy Power Sports or other dealers going, hey, I've seen these green, orange lights. Where do I get them? And maybe that'll fuel the fire. And that was the whole point. So I'm happy someone thinks I did an ad for him because I'm proud of it, because I think it's a great idea. Jean-Luc and I talked about it. It's cheaper than buying the old LED lights that were just white.
And they're better quality.
They're brighter.
They're brighter. And you know what? I never wanted, Ski-Doo's made some great products over the years, but something about like we dismantled the one and it was disappointing. But these ones, it's a much better wiring, a lot stronger. And so I want to address a few comments. So one comment, I'm sorry who made the comment if they want to jump in, but it was, so Sled Tube said to be find installing the lights a pain or not. They're not that hard to install. Each sled, like the first one took us, mine was more difficult. So the 2018, the Gen 4, you need to buy a retrofit adapter. So it's a little more difficult. So there's an extra step, but it's maybe an hour and a half. If you're good at taking the hoods off them, it's about an hour or less to install them. And it's an easy, and
you can see the video. It's pretty simple.
You do need to drill out your dash if you don't have one of the ones that have the pre-marked dash, because I think some of the newer sleds, they actually have the spots for your different module pieces. Or
BRP the 22 did. The 22 did. The 23
sells it as
well. The easiest way to put them in is buy them all when you order your sled, and the dealer is happy to put them in for you.
Absolutely.
We just didn't do that for his because we wanted to make the video to actually show how to install it for other people. But also then an outdoor hobby guy said,
that's a good point.
Don't fit on mine due to the medium windshield and mirrors. Well, this year they have ones that attach to the medium and high windshield, which I think is an amazing addition to that lineup, because it just makes, they obviously probably heard some feedback from customers or from their riders and ambassadors for the program, and took that feedback and went, okay, let's see if we can rework this. And it's super simple. It even looks like it might clip on to other, I don't know if it's a clip or if it's the whole deflector piece that you get.
Yeah,
I'll have to look at
my next improvement that I'm pushing and trying is any battery powered sleds that they're going to have the ability, and I know it's more than what my Wish can do because there's a lot of layers to it. I'd like the handguards to have an option to stay on for 5 minutes instead of having
say that,
because your sled, you have to have it running if someone, or we got to fire it up quick if you hear sleds coming at night. So that is something that I think would be good out of the box, but we'll see.
Yeah,
our friend Denon, who we were mentioning earlier that had them, he likes to tinker with everything. So he's got a 2022, and he actually wired it for the power for it straight to the battery, so he can hit the switch
just for the hazards,
the hazard lights. He can hit the switch for the hazard, and it'll put the blinking hazard and it'll keep the lights. No, it's actually for the whole thing.
Is it?
The lights will stay on because
that's easy then.
He grabbed, like the auxiliary. If you have like the extra headlight, you have an auxiliary switch that's for high and low beam that you can get. All he did is wire it so when he has his third auxiliary headlight switch to low beam or high beam, it sends power to the handguards as well, which is that's a whole nother level of tinkering. But it's funny you say that's something that he did because he thought that as well.
Yeah, and that seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do. I personally, me and electrical don't get along, so I'll just wait till it comes back.
There's too much to go wrong.
So this is a shot of you bottoming out the Pro 40s, or will it take more than this?
No, that was like butter. Corey, we were in this little quarry type thing, the sand pit, and Corey had swooped around and hit that first. And I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. So Corey pulls his phone out. But that comp handles the predictable bumps like no problem. And if I would have known better on those trail qualities where I did bottom out, if I would have just had the shocks stiffer, like I had them on medium, if I would have thrown them to hard, it probably would have been fine. So
Yeah.
A little bit of airtime, nothing special, but it was fun to get the track off the ground.
Yeah, perfect. That's awesome. Looks good. And then this is some what we did was we captured some photos from the model year 2025 launch and brochures and corporate photos and I'll let you kind of lead this and we can talk about this, and Jean-Luc can chime in on anything he knows, because we had a great talk starting off the air about everything. It's amazing when you get all of our heads together what we've come up with.
Yeah. So that's one of the marketing photos from the snow shoot. They would have done it last winter, but so that's the new comp right there. I think he has smart shocks in the photo, which is cool.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. That's cool. What, Jean-Luc, was a high demand for smart shocks last year? Was people bummed that they couldn't get it? Like, what was the conversation?
Yeah, well, we obviously, smart shocks were introduced during the residual of the pandemic, so we had some challenges around widgets and chips and stuff, all kinds of stuff like that. So last year was probably the strongest smart shocks orders we had, and there was still a lot of demand. I think a lot of people don't know exactly how to use them. Some people don't quite understand. In fact, I will tell you, like Neil, our tech, swore, no, I will never do smart shocks. No, I will never do smart shocks. Da, da, da. And so he bought a Renegade XRS non-smart shocks, and then he tried mine, which is identical at what he had, but with smart shocks. Guess what he did? He traded his in, and now he's riding the one with the smart shocks. I mean, it's not a novelty. It's just not cool. It does work. But back to what we said earlier, it may not be for you. Depends what type of rider you are. Right, and but it's responsive for sure. Yeah, so I find a lot more people in the 900 Ace Turbo, for us anyway here at this store, appear to go for it.
Right on. I love them.
It's not snake oil. It's the real thing. It's an absolute. It's just kind of fun from a technical side too. When you're like riding and you can feel when you switch the modes, you can kind of feel like the different comfort. It's like. It's going over everything. You put it in sport, and it kind of goes, but you put it in sport plus, and it's like, oh, and it's instant. You want to party.
It's instant. I love it.
It's quick. It's awesome. It's just fun.
Yeah. So, and this is a new RX, Raz RX front end. Go ahead, Corey. Let me have it.
Well, between this and a couple extra slides, we'll see some more info on it. But we have, adapted some of the RS technology into the trail sled. So the race sleds had that taller spindle and A-arms, different A-arms for the last 2 years. I think they've been running that, and it's moved to the trail sled. So we're gonna get more travel, a little more predictability, changes the shock angle. Again, believe it or not, it takes 20% body roll out, which is impressive on an already impressive snowmobile. So a couple tweaks up front. People have asked, it's been on the internet a lot, are they going to be able to add this to the snowmobile they have? They can if they already have a Raz X snowmobile. There is going to be a kit available. Availability, I don't know, but yeah, so that's
That's it.
But you're going to want to, you can use the same skis, but you're probably going to want the new ski too, so you might as well go all in on it.
Yeah, and that's saying you can use. There was some debate of whether you can use the shocks because you would get an inch more travel on the sled, and it is using the standard shock. It's just the way the geometry is. It gives you another inch of travel, which is really cool. I love that design engineering capabilities BRP has. There's a spindle, which is like Arctic Cat's been doing it. Taller spindles. You look at someone like John from Exhilarating Technologies. He was lowering the front end of sleds to give that more of a horizontal A-arm for better handling and flat cornering. And this is an amazing engineering thing that the Ski-Doo's done here, because this is what has been needed for years.
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic in that photo. The difference you can tell, the 26 millimeter taller on the new one. It does change the angle of where, obviously it's shaped like this. It's got a little more curve to it. So I do think if you are updating, you should go with the new ski because they are hand in hand. Where the keel lines up with the bottom of the spindle, it does make the difference too. So I would suggest moving to the new ski if you were to upgrade the suspension parts too.
Yeah, why not? There's another shot of it. Are the A-arms, the A-arms, they look curved here.
Yeah, so your top there are curved to basically the main thing is to get around the body because with the travel with a taller spindle, you need to be able to clear the panels.
Right on. And that's the thing that comes in that kit for your older one. Dynamite. I love it. And here it is in the Raz RX ski, but that's it on the sled. Hard to tell though, by looking at it. Like you can see that top A-arm's flatter, but I think by looking at it, it's not like your sled slammed to the ground. It's still. That's what I like about this is you still have the clearance below that belly pan like your sled has now. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah, like to the naked eye, if you were to walk around that snowmobile and not really paying attention, you might not even have noticed that because it is overall a pretty subtle change. I mean, a true sled head and snowmobile gear head, you're going to probably notice something like that. But what it's going to do for the geometry or what it has done is pretty impressive. So, again, the RS, you can always kind of take a peek what they're doing on the race sleds. We don't always get to see it in the trail. So when we do, it's pretty exciting because it works.
Yeah. Really like that.
Yeah, it's the big news this year. Obviously, suspension is the big focus, right? And again, I forget if it was you, Drew, or Corey that talked about BRP always addressing what their consumers or a lot of the feedback they get early. One of the benefits of having ambassadors is you get that feedback early on, and you can make quick adjustments. They got an awful lot of people working at engineering to always push the limits and make things better always, and the result is great. I mean, we get to obviously this is not something that they came about a month or two ago. They've been working on this for some time.
Well, I think that's a good point, JL, is people have this misconception that we can give them some information this winter and it's going to change for next. When the reality is they're 4 or 5 years ahead of us. Yeah. The things we're talking about could already be far and ready to roll. So, when we complained about LED lights where they're always, don't worry, so it does take time. Yes, as an ambassador, we have phone calls throughout the winter and sometimes in the off season of what we would like to see, what our friends or followers are suggesting to us, and they take all that into account because they really do want to have the best snow or best machine on the snow, and why wouldn't they? So, user feedback super important.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I think it goes without saying. I think generally speaking, consumers don't quite understand how a product is made. It takes a lot of time, and I'll just use actually the example of Whitescape, because Whitescape was launched 3 years ago, technically, and they teased it, and the number of times they had to go to Transport Canada to get acceptance and approval on design and a few things like that. For those of you who have seen the Whitescape, Transport Canada made them use and have this little seat at the back of the Whitescape, which is ridiculous. But Ski-Doo luckily has a great relationship with the governmental agencies, but they do need those approvals. It takes time. You just cannot come out with something and say, this is what's hitting the market. You got to there's a lot of gates you have to pass. And so to Corey's point, something you wish they may have today may not be there next year, but in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, believe me, they're pushing the limits to improve it because the competitive set is doing the same thing. It's a race. It literally is a race.
Yeah.
Oh, for
so
sure.
I mean, and anyone who's listening or watching this later on, if you're following me or don't follow me, I'm always happy to have a conversation if someone wants to give me their 2 cents or what they want to see moving forward, I'm happy to field those types of conversations.
Sorry, can I just hop in here? So Sled 2 Bass, you can buy the kit with just A arms, or the kit come with shocks to go front end. So the RX kit, you reuse your current shocks. It fits I believe it fits all of the KYB shocks, including the new Pro 40s and the original, whatever they refer to, the piggybacks. But yeah, you just reuse your old shocks with the kit. Because I think it's the exact same length from the mounts. It just, the reason it changes the angle is because the height of the spindles. It's not a different shock length.
Yeah.
So
you sent 2 pictures here showing their RX ski. Pretty cool looking ski. It looks a lot like the Blade. What's the one that's I'm hiding the front of it? What's the purpose of that picture? Is that just showing that opening where the spindle fits in?
Yeah, and then the profile, you can kind of tell the profile of the rear tip. This ski is going to be a lot better in fluffier and open snow, or deeper snow, if you want to call it. The photo you're going to have after this, I think, really helps show the step in the keel. So like that's huge. And a lot of people, it's still always preference with your ski stuff. Like you run that outside carbide, I don't, because you get kind of premeditated lift in the corner. Your outside carbide touches before the center keel sometimes and alters the bite. So I've always wanted center really aggressive. I've actually taken a skill saw to skis before and cut that outside plastic off, so I have one center keel only, and it actually made a big difference. So I don't suggest people cutting their skis up, but I like to play around, and it was substantially better. So this development is huge because it still has a good overall footprint. The keel is obviously deeper. You are going to have to put a little more rider input when it comes to a hard pack trail, because you still have a single keel, and especially if you run an aggressive carbide. But in varying conditions, this ski is going to be substantially better than what we're used to because of the steps in the keel. And some of the guys that I know run some CAAs, I think they'll like this Ski-Doo ski better. It's way less of a shoulder pump. The CAA has a long flat keel. I mean, I've done those in the past, and they have a great product, but it's just not for me. I think these skis are going to fit my demographic very well, and I'm excited to look forward to it, or excited to ride with it, looking forward to it. I know Paul's actually running a set right now on the snow, and he says they're awesome. So
yeah, I've been following him on Instagram, Paul Prudhomme, who's been on the podcast, and he's loving it. He's just ranting and raving about how great they are. So that's cool.
Cool. Yeah. And Paul, when you know him on a personal level, he is a no BS guy. If he's got a real opinion about them, he'll tell you. If you're close enough with him to get the real deep, he'll tell you. So he loves the ski, and that also makes me excited because he would tell me he hated it.
Outdoor hobby guy, what are your thoughts on darting with that deeper keel?
So this, and Paul, we were talking yesterday about it, but because I don't have any on snow experience with this ski, so I won't blow smoke up your guys' butts on this one. But from the people that have ridden it, the hard pack, it finds its way without really much darting. With this ski as well, you shouldn't have to put as much ski pressure, which will also mitigate the amount of darting. So, it gets into the world of carbides. Everyone has a carbide they like. You guys love the quality piece stuff. They make a good product. It's just weird. The snowmobile I have now, I have the factory 4-inch, and I haven't changed it mostly because the conditions are so bad. And this sled still turns. So out of all years, this year is a weird one for me because normally I throw a huge, 8-inch shaper or a Maverick. Like the Woody's big shaper bar, and I haven't had to do that yet. So it's it's a little weird for me in my own opinion, but the long story short, I am excited for this ski. It is supposed to handle all conditions really well.
That's very cool. I think on paper and by picture, it makes sense because if you just had that center aggressive keel, it's going to steer really heavy. And because it's a step, it'll actually soften that steering a little bit, I think.
That's right.
There's another good shot of it.
that gives you a better idea there, because you have obviously less keel in the snow when it's hard packed. You just have your carbide, which if that's what we're used to already. But as the snow starts to loosen up, or you get the warmer mashed potato snow, you're going to start stepping into the bigger keel, and it's much longer. So you're going to have that better loose snow bite.
Yeah. So there's some conversation in the chat about the Blade Lynx ski. How different is it than this? Because I know Paul's son was running blades on his XRS and loved them. Do you know the difference of the geometry of the Blade ski compared to this?
I can't really speak to it to be with 100% confidence, but if you look at the mold, they're actually quite a bit different on the top side. So I can only imagine that the keel and their location is a little bit different. And you might even just be in the center, like where that keel starts in relation to the spindle. So I can't say if they're exactly the same. I think the idea is there, though. The blade does have a step keel like that. So I would say they're similar.
Sorry, I just actually pulled up a picture.
You can
of it.
show
So
it on the camera.
I'll try to show it. It's a single keel, but it's not stepped. It's just one single big, huge keel in it.
Yeah, so it has that second one, but it's way wider and way longer.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
But people have been giving great feedback with the ski issues this year from Ski-Doo. People buying or getting a set of blades even from a friend and putting them on their XRS Ski-Doos have been having great feedback on those. I think Neil from Energy was talking to us at their 5-year anniversary party thing, and he was saying that, you know, if BRP came out with that ski as an option for the XRS, it would be the greatest handling thing, because he loves that sort of setup. Because I think that's what he was saying about the Lynx versus the Ski-Doo. But
he changed his ski. He ordered actually black Lynx skis for his Ski-Doo, his Renegade.
Yeah, that's right. That's the blades.
Must have been, because he tried the Lynx and then he liked the ski, but he didn't like the rear suspension on the Lynx, and he thought that the ski would help his XRS. But yeah. So here's a question: can you put those on a 24 or 23? Do you need the spindles, or is there going to be a kit for them, do you think?
No, I mean, the change in the spindle from the angle is not drastic enough to make that ski rendered useless on the 24 or 23. Like, you're still going to have, you're still going to get the benefits of the new ski. So I would certainly try them. If you're not someone that loves the pilot ski the way it is, I would try it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I think it would make a huge difference. So it's not unlike putting a curve on or a CNA, you know, for that. But there's the pilot. Sorry, the picture on the stream doesn't show it any justice, but that's your pilot X on the left. Yeah. That's the pilot X on the left, and then we've got the RX on the right, which I am blocking, but we've seen it. Anyway, the
double kill clearly.
Yeah, so it's it's quite a bit different. It looks to me like a wider ski as well. But
the shape of it,
it does have more surface area overall, so you'll get that better flotation in the looser snow. If you happen to get off a little bit off trail, it's a little more capable up front, because as we know, the strict trail ski we have doesn't operate very well in fresh snow.
Yeah,
the Pilot X and the 5.7s, it kind of just like a sinking ship most of the time. But I was commenting to him just when you were talking just about the shape of it, how it kind of goes out. It reminds me a lot of the shape of a Curve XS ski. So obviously they've taken. I'm not going to say that everybody's inspired as engineers, as designers. No one stole from who, but it's definitely a very how do I want to say this? It's a proven design of a ski, and they've just put their twist on it. And I think that's going to make it where a lot of people won't be so inclined to go and run and put an aftermarket set of skis the second they get their sled. They'll want to try these out. And I think these are going to be a big difference, even if you just get the skis on your 2023s and newers, or 24 and newers. So we'll have to see. I'm interested in the change, and I'd even like to, if we do go ahead and get a 25, would like to switch skis for a ride on even the 2018 to give it a shot, to try the difference. But
yeah, it's kind of cool. And there you go. Thanks for answering that, Corey. About the 900 and why it won't fit. But I'm sure keep in mind that the 900 turbo 4 strokes usually follow suit with the 2 strokes a year later. So there's probably some big news on the horizon for the 4-stroke lovers out there in that front end and suspension. Wouldn't you say, Corey?
Yeah, and like we already talked about, they're years ahead of us. So I'm sure they're trying to accommodate the 900 at some point to receive any new technology, right? They don't want to hinder any sort of technology based on wanting to go with a 4-stroke or not. So who knows what the fix will, I don't want to say fix, but the remedy to get it around the wide body. I also, and I don't want to even say it really, but I have heard the weight, a little extra weight of the front doesn't really work as great with the new geometry, but I don't want to say that that's 100% truthful, because that's more rumblings from the market. So I don't want to lean on that, but I know for a fact the curved A-arms don't really go around the wide body. So we won't see that yet, but you could always try the skis and go from there. I mean, hell, we know the RazX works good. So it's not like you got this clumsy old cement truck that you're riding and you'd like to upgrade it. It's just making good, better type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Making better best, Corey.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Now the comp this year, is it available in all black or just the black hood and then all yellow like this?
The comp, that's the way the comp will look, and then you get your suspension choices. The XRS non-turbo gets a black hood, which I think is pretty deadly looking. It has a little bit of RS feel to it. I've already got my creative juices flowing for the next one. We'll see what we can do. I am inspired, but we'll see how much work I want to put my designer in on. So
hopefully you got a good graphics guy, right? I can let you know I got a good one too. He does helmets and sled wraps. So
I did his last one.
I'm making a joke.
Oh boy, yeah. So we'll see.
That's
but,
cool.
It is available in all black as well.
Yeah, all black, perfect.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you can do all black in pretty much everything now, which is cool.
Yeah. I love how they put the yellow across the hood there. That was my beef, and you were questioning that, and I go, let me just print the middle part because I want to see it, and then we loved it. So.
Cool. I am happy we did that, and if I get creative, I think we're gonna do some more yellow. That's about as much.
Yeah,
as
that's cool. That's cool.
What
This is one thing that I really like, and I don't want to steal your line, but this is the 4-piston brake, so you go ahead and start talking about it.
Well, it's the gift that you forgot you received when you buy the sled, because it's something it just kind of leaves you, but it's so functional and works so good. So the 4-piston brake is got so much better feedback. It's softer on your finger, especially with the adjustable brake lever that you have on the machine I have now. Jumping from my sled to Buddy's sleds is really noticeable. The ease in squeezing it and the function of it, it's smooth. It just works better. And we're going to see that on more models this year. So anyone that's ordered, you're likely going to receive that if you stayed on, especially the higher models. But I'm pretty sure right down to the X package on the 2-stroke got these, I think.
Yeah, I think it's all on the high end XXRS. I have the sheet here, but I'm missing some columns here. But yeah, I think you're right. It's on the higher end models, mostly. I think almost on every spring order.
Yeah, and I love that adjustable brake lever. And it's so funny because you took the words out of my mouth off air, Corey Jinks. Because Drew and I just did some video, and I was chatting about all the things I love about my 24, and it hasn't skipped a beat this year. It's been flawless, and I love everything about it. And the brake I forgot. And it was when I was driving down the trail, I said, one thing I forgot to mention, Drew, is this brake. And he goes, yeah. And I go, yeah, like that. Not only the adjustability of it all, but the fact that it stops on a dime, and you hear the 9 cents in change that's making, spitting out the back. But it's so buttery smooth that it's hard to describe.
Yeah, I think we're spoiled being able to have two machines that are quite similar, but have a different in like very quite similar in terms of it's the same engine, same belt. We have both stock clutching. We got similar-ish tracks. And every time I get on his, the only thing that I can think about is because I'm so used to the brake feel of my 850 and then my previous sleds. His, you're right.
It's one finger.
The dime and the 9 cents change. It's like I one finger, but I'm usually a lot more. It's like I feel like I'm locking the track a lot because I'm not used to how quickly it will actually pull that brake on. But when it's happened on his, and I've had to actually for emergencies kind of light brake and trail brake in the corner, it is an amazing performance adder. And it's kind of just something that it's not something that as a rider you knew that you needed, but once you have it, you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. I remember feeling the benefits of it the first ride. And then after that, you just kind of forget it's there, but it's always there. But you're always like, my middle finger or these 2 fingers is like a dirt bike is on it. And it's like, it just squeeze it in and it's stopping and it's scrubbing speed. And
I think because we're, moto and quad riders, we're so like, I'm used to riding in mountain bikes too. I'm used to riding like this or like this, where you're always covering that brake.
Yeah.
So on his, I feel like even comparing it to my 18, I feel like I'm grabbing it a lot. But as I rode his more throughout the season, I got a lot more used to how it felt in the adjustable brake lever. And it is an amazing addition.
Yeah, it's nice.
I think that was a great choice by them. Is that on the 4-strokes as well, or is that only a 2-stroke thing on the MXZ?
Yeah. On the, but it's got to be in like the XRS or X.
It has to be an XRS Renegade.
Yeah, an XRS package only.
Okay.
Yeah. I looked in Adrenaline. Does not get it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
That's awesome. I didn't know it was on there Renegade. That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
All right.
Yeah, this looks awesome too. There it is.
Oh, that's an extra all yellow.
A 900R. I know, isn't that nice? 900R. There you go, deletes. Just upgrade.
And man, I wish I could have 2 snowmobiles because I would certainly have one for the high north and the Quebec runs because they are quite the machine, and the 900 hauls the mail. And then you have to pack oil and all these extra goodies, and it would be one of those things. But I really like the refinement they did on it to the Gen 5. Ergonomically, it's great. You're going to see the update this year coming with the heated seats factory. So if you get a Renegade, you get a heated seat, which again, because that's going to the high mileage guys, right? And generally, you're running those colder, longer stretches of trail. So a heated seat would be, it's not something I've always said, oh, I need, but I've ridden one and you're like, man, that's kind of nice. So
yeah, a friend of mine had borrowed an Enduro years ago, and he said that, and he said that it's one of those things you like. It's like air conditioned car seats in Florida. It's you don't think you need it until you sit on it. And he said it's amazing having a heated seat. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Sorry, Master, was your comment about the heated seat? Jinx, can we add it, or what was that about?
The brake, four piston.
The 4-piston.
Yeah,
I think they changed the caliper. Jinx, did they change the caliper on that?
So I think you could, like, if you wanted to dive into it, you probably could. But I think the protective housing is obviously a different shape too. Not obviously, but I think it is. So you'd have to get into a couple part switches. I don't want to overspeak and say it's 100% possible because I don't know, but I'm sure there's a way to retrofit it. But it's probably a little bit more aggravation than it might be worth.
Yeah,
Massart was saying that he wants to keep a sled for as many years as he can, so maybe that's something he wants to look into. He's good with it.
He's a dad now, so I'm sure his wife told him he's perfectly happy with the snowmobile he has.
Yeah,
Jean-Luc, do they have?
Oh, is that so?
Jean-Luc, do they have a Lynx baby seat adapter?
He's got a mountain handle.
You know what? I don't think so, Gary. But you talk about babies and all that stuff. And we're talking about new sleds. I was hoping actually that a lot of our customers were hoping that there'd be a Lynx, like a mini Lynx sled, because they do exist, and we didn't get them this year, unfortunately. So.
Oh wow, that would be cool.
Yeah, but no, really there's no adapter as you asked for.
Yeah, that's cool. I like this color too, the way that they've done this. And is that orange, or what color is that we're looking at on the bumper and not on the bumper, but the grill and the?
Yeah, it's I don't know the official name of it. I didn't get the spec sheets over yet, but it looks to be an orange. And again, I wasn't there this year to see him in person, but that silvery color with the orange, I think it'll pop on the snow for sure. And that's a good looking sled. I think they really did a good job with the aesthetic of the 4-stroke, because it's kind of hard to run your imagination when you saw the 2-stroke. Okay, well, I know they got to mess with this a little, but how they did the induction in the hood and all that, they are a good looking machine.
Yeah.
I think orange is a color that I wish that I really like orange. I've owned, my BMX bike was blood orange, and it's always been my favorite color. I'm a big fan of orange, like your friends Drew's in 2019 and stuff. I feel like Ski-Doo needs to jump into that color palette. I like the 24 Backcountry and the 22 Backcountry that had the blue and orange. So I'm a racing fan, so that's kind of like the golf racing colors. But I kind of wish they would do what the Summit had this past season, the black and orange, because that's an aggressive color combo. I know
Every time you say that, we'll wrap it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy obviously you can buy everything from them. You can buy the skid plates, the ski loops, the adventure bumpers, and all that stuff to make it black and orange. But I don't know, like, it's just easier if they just do it for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't want to recycle colors too frequently, so they're always either trying to make a color. And a tricky indicator is Sea-Doos tend to be colors before we see it on snowmobiles. It's a little tricky.
You know that.
So if you pay attention to Ski-Doos, generally that following winter, you might see a snowmobile that color. You never know what the model will be, but it is kind of interesting to see how I came onto it was when I was a big free ride guy. I always ordered 137 free rides, and I was in the Sea-Doo market, and I started noticing that they were Sea-Doo colors. So I'm like, okay. And then as I started paying attention, it's a little bit of a indicator of what they could do. You just never know what they're actually gonna do. So the Backcountry, this photo of the Backcountry and getting the Turbo R, which is super cool. That was obviously a big request from last year. I mean, obviously they already had it in the works, but we're going to see a lot of sled sales in that, especially. So here's a good example of our feedback and how long it takes to receive it in the marketplace. We've talked about wider front end option on the Backcountry now. As an ambassador, I've said it every year since I've been an ambassador, for going into the 4th winter. So I said, if you option a front end that is trail width, you're going to see that sled do very well in Ontario marketplace, and especially in Quebec. Guys that are true 70-30-ish guys that still want to go off the trail and have a capable snowmobile, but are mostly trail riding. We're going to see some assault guys probably jump into this, especially with this being a turbo. The track options, when we were talking before the show, is extensive, which is very cool. The Storm 150 is a very popular track. It has been for years. So guys are getting some options on some 2-plies and pre-studded, and the world is your oyster with this snowmobile, which is really cool. If I lived in an area that I could get off trail a little bit easier, I would actually lean towards this, because it is a lot of fun. It's so much work for me to find a little bit of backcountry and to get to enjoy that is either a lot of time in a pickup truck or, you're just not doing it. So I see the Backcountry doing well this year. I mean, JL, you already said you got a couple spring checks already, which is very cool. So with the turbo, again, the tilted rail, all that stuff, it's got the new suspension. I think we have maybe a photo of that or not on this one, but nonetheless.
Yep, right there it is, right there. Yep.
So it receives the Raz RX as well, which I think is fantastic. You got the new ski. That sled is going to be a super capable trail sled that has very great off-trail capabilities. Got to remember that now. That is more of a trail sled with the wide front end with off-trail capability, unless you want to get the narrow stance, and then you're getting back more into 50-50.
For those that don't know, what's in the rear skid of this thing?
So I'd be still running with a C-motion, like a semi-coupled skid, right?
Yeah.
I'm no expert on that one. I have buddies with them. I ride them from time to time, and with the way they used to be set up, is kind of like riding a pencil through the trail. And like I said early in the show, you have to be honest with yourself and buy the snowmobile that fits what you actually do. Put your ego aside and order what's going to work.
Yeah.
Now Sled does do those things. Like, back when I was younger and riding the free ride 137, it was kind of a close to a 70-30. Like it was a bit to handle on the trail, but it worked off trail. And then I had to come to realize I didn't get off trail as much as I'd like. So then, Renegades made sense. So I think this is a great option, Sled, and I think we will see a lot of them next winter.
Well, actually, I made a comment. I made a comment I made a comment about the 137 free rides. Actually, when we were at Red Canoe over the weekend, there was actually a pair of them. I'm like, Gen 4 first. I think it was I think they're 2018s or 17. The Gen 4, the 137 free ride still, and it's like they had the skis set with the bushings out as far as they could go, and they had something else. Like they all had like trail bags and cans, and it's like those are people that I think that's like kind of why the backcountry exists now with that wider stance, right? Because you got guys like that who want to be off trail, but also don't want to be tipping over in the corners.
Unfortunately, we don't get the free ride in 137 anymore. It's 146 or 154. That's just like up. Hey, I want to answer. I saw that Chris Watson said that he met a guy from Ontario over the weekend who rented a Lynx. I don't know who rents Lynx. I'd like to know. A lot of our customers often ask to try it out, and he said that it was hard on the back during a long ride. I'm going to answer this, Chris, and tell you that you're probably right. They're not polite. It's a very industrious sled. It takes no prisoner, and it's just, but is that good? It is. It's one of those sleds that just, it can handle the bumps at high speed, but yeah, it's not meant to be a sofa whatsoever. It's a different animal, as I said earlier.
And thank you for being honest about that.
And that's the thing. Sofa is the key. I don't think a Lynx is meant for sit down riders. Like if you never stand up, you're not gonna do well on a Lynx, because I just know from that Rob A you had us on there a few years ago, Jean-Luc. Yeah. It's a physical sled. It's fun. It's fun as hell to ride. It's really light in the front end, but it's physical. Yeah,
maybe even the seat is harder. It's not that as cushiony, right? So everything about it is very different.
And she dangles, Sled tube. She dangles. Yeah. Even without an Ultimax belt, it dangles.
Yeah, a little too much, I think, for a lot of people's like. Yeah, you make a good point about the stand-up rider thing, though, because I mean, you probably see me when I'm standing up. Like I always like to stand up, even on mine. I could probably do it, but yeah, like even Neil Tekka Energy said the exact same thing, that it was like getting beat up in the back. But he said it does ride okay. It's just that you feel a lot more of it than you do on an arm motion.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different riding style that you have to get adjusted to. But thank you for being honest about that, JL. Though it's nice to know that you're not just trying to get customers to buy sleds. You're trying to actually help them out too. So.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They're always like that.
You know what? It's a good point, really. There's nothing worse than when a client comes in and he wants to buy something just because he thinks it's cool. We had actually a very young guy. He came in December and has never, ever sled in his life. Okay? Never. He's not originally from our country, but he befriended a bunch of guys who sled. They're sled heads. And so he said, I got to have the fastest that she got. And he sees actually it was my sled the one that was supposed to get the turbo. He says, how fast does that go? That looks fast. I said, well, yeah, this is one of the fast sleds for sure. That's what I want. No, that's not what you need. And it may sound wrong to say I don't want to sell this to you, but frankly it's not morally right to sell something to someone with no experience whatsoever. He did not even think he needed a helmet. He thought it was optional.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine that guy, no clue where he's going, or that he needs a trailer or a pickup truck. He was driving a Model 3 Tesla. It's just not going to work.
Put it up on the roof. Get a roof rack and slap it up there.
I've seen that.
There's a picture of a Chevy Aveo, which I have some experience with I think it's a switchback Assault 155 on the roof of it. So it's possible, but no, I
didn't think it's possible, but
you probably see that all the time. being
Yeah.
where being in
We see
Oakville there.
different
But,
things from time to time. Yeah.
Oh, I bet. A couple questions
Thank
about the
Good answer.
expedition. What skid is in the expedition, and what
it's down more.
it's all
It was
terrain
all-terrain
TV.
TV. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, there it is. What skid
the
does
rear
the expedition
skid-
have? What?
The rear skid in the Expeditions, the SC5U, which has that articulating rear in it. So you got to remember, now we're at a 20-inch wide track. Like we're talking big boy stuff for the bush. I think it's a super capable machine. You buy it in the right circumstances. If you're doing some trail riding to get where you want to, like you're now got some bush you're going to go through to go to the lake to fish or whatever, like that's kind of what you're looking to do. It's a workhorse with a little bit of trail capability, but it's a pretty gnarly machine.
Yeah.
It's a heavy machine. You know, like I made a mistake last year. We sold out of sleds for the previous year, so that would have been 23. And so my wife really wants a 2-up, so I ended up getting her an Expedition SE. It's a heavy sled, super heavy sled. It's very capable. It's a Clydesdale of sleds, frankly. Not the right sled for her. Yeah, but unfortunately, I sold the Grand Touring, and which is a much more sled that is more aligned to her style of riding. Very calm, very slow, very just going at her pace. But yeah, the Expedition was just too much. She ended up actually, believe it or not, tilting it, almost flipping it entirely. It was so heavy to put back on. Oh my God, it was just not a lot of fun. She was not very happy with me, and I was not very happy with her either.
Chris Watson.
What's your opinion on the 2025 Enduro Turbo R? I know you guys are going to laugh, but I like my Grand Touring air ride, and this old guy likes riding the couch with a bit of a kick.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't blame you one bit. There was one of ours, we had one in our fleet that I didn't ride a lot, but every once in a while when you're doing seat exchanges, because you're getting a lot of everything on that sled with depending on the model, like the level of spec, the heated seat and all that stuff too. But it's a good handling snowmobile. The air ride is nifty. I mean, you're going to go out there and you're just going to do some long miles at a fairly good pace, and it's going to do its job. It wouldn't be something I would ride every day, but I know what kind of rider I am. But it's an awesome sled for the marketplace that it's going after.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, JL, you go ahead.
I don't know, Chris, how old you are, but I'm 52. It is a great sled for the afternoon when it's a little bumpy, and to Corey's point, when you switch, it's a good break. It gives you that good comfy part of the ride for the day.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine who lives up just north of Sudbury, and they have their own outfitter. His parents own an outfitter lodge. So he has a 24 free ride 154. His brother's got a 23 backcountry, and then his dad bought a 24 of one of those. Sorry, I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. X-Train, not the X-Train, not the Lynx. What's it? Well, I can't think of the name of the Ski-Doo. The Expedition? Is that what I'm trying to think of?
Expedition, yeah.
Yeah, Expedition with the 900 Turbo R. And it goes everywhere that his free ride and his brother's backcountry will go off the trail because of that wide track and the wide skis. He said it will actually, they let him, the dad will go ahead when they're doing tree riding and pack trails for them because they'll just get stuck most of the time in deep snow. So that's just something to do with test of the capabilities of those machines. And it's true, like the track on is wide. And I think you can get up to a 2-inch track on those, I think is what they'll fit. But so that's
one sled that we sell a lot in the Expedition category is the Expedition Extreme.
I think that's what it is that he has is the Extreme.
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah, that's what I thought, because it does a lot of things. You can take all the gears off of it, all the equipment, and then it's a little sportier, and then axe, you name it, chainsaw holder, it's got everything you can load up on this thing. It is it's a workhorse. It's very utilitarian. It's just it's again meant for many things. This one, not only one thing, but it does have a wide track in the back.
Yeah, Quebec has some crazy expeditions, Corey Brock says, and you know what? We seen them yesterday too. Like
they're getting popular.
It's crazy how many you see in Ontario. Even
they're getting popular. And I think it's just it might be a mix of hard to find sleds over the past few years, as well as people just wanting to try something new and different. But yeah, in Quebec, it's I'm gonna say that there is more expedition and any expedition extremes or Lynx X terrains, and I'm sure when the Brutale comes out this year, than there is of your normal XRSs. It's insane because a lot of that's just it's their mode of transport, I think, for the most part in a lot of areas. But yeah, they're getting popular, but I see why.
They're more than leisure vehicles there, right? They're multi-purpose vehicles for a large portion of that demographic. So, it's easy to convince the wife when the sled does a lot of work for you around the property too. So, they've always been more four-stroke heavy in the demographic too, because of the miles they put on and all that. It's they get a lot of use out of snowmobiles. So, it's no shocker that they're into the more utilitarian snowmobile with a four-stroke. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you need 180 horsepower to move wood along the lot, honey. Yeah, don't worry about it. No, it's that they added an extra zero by accident. And I need all the options. I need the chainsaw rack. I need the tall link box. He needs the tall link box, actually. We were looking at the little flat link box for next season.
Yeah, Jean-Luc's got the box for me at Energy for sure.
For all of our viewers in the chat, he might reach over the table and hit me, but he did leave his bag open yesterday, and I kind of flipped out at him.
I didn't lose anything. You guys want me to get those? You want me to get those epic shots? It's going to require the bag being left open a time or two. You know what I mean? So
what do we got here, Gary? So we got the track options. That looks to be the pre-studded one. I wasn't there.
That looks like a storm. That looks like an ice storm. Ice storm. The way it's
so again, pretty exciting to see some of those options that are coming right from factory. I think that'll take some griping out of a few demographics, so that's pretty sharp. You're going to see the ice jug on the back there would be new for the backcountry. Shameless plug for Gord. I love my bracket that I have for my Boost Juice jug. It works really good. It's nice to get my bag back there, so that works good. You had Gord on a few weeks ago, right? So
yep, for sure.
The bracket works awesome, and I had a few people on the trail this weekend. Oh man, that's that bracket. Oh, I need to get one of those. Oh yeah, you do, because you have $100 bag sitting at home doing nothing. So you might as well spend the $100 with Gord and use the bag.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a genius idea. I enjoyed having them. I enjoyed all the guests we've had this year. It's been a great year. But Gord, that's a genius idea he had. So what a small world though. Like you got the Ultimax guys that know them all, and then he's giving me suggestions to have guests on the show, and it's all like Dave from Hurricane, and it's like had him. This guy had him.
They all it's and you think in the aftermarket world it'd be as cutthroat as the main OEM world, but it's not. They all help each other out. Like when Hurricane finally cracked the ECUs on the 900 Turbo to make free standalone and free programming stuff, they were Acceleration Racing, and all those guys are right there with them by their side, helping them out along the way. So I personally love that doesn't feel like a competition in the aftermarket world. They all make great products, and it's up to you to pick and choose what you want, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I have the list of the track options for this sled, if you don't mind me listing them off, unless you have that in here.
No, I didn't include that.
Okay, so for the 146 option, you can get an Ice Cobra 1.6, a Storm 1.5, a Ice Storm 1.5, a normal Cobra 1.6, a Powder Max 2.0, and a Powder Max 2 2.5.
Nice.
Lots of options. I think that's great.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, that's great. So you got a shot of obviously the 850 two-stroke turbo. I just thought that'd be a little neat to slip that in there. You can see kind of the breakdown of the intake and all that. It's pretty, I mean, if you're a gearhead, to know meth injection is not old technology. Guys that are big into big horsepower cars and drag cars, they've been doing that stuff for years. Even, some family in their old high horsepower snowmobiles, they did this years ago, but it was just way more archaic. And, you had to spend a big pile of private coin to get that sled to do anything like that. So out of the box, fun and horsepower is great, especially with some warranty. That's a win-win-win.
Yeah, that's the main thing. No messing around, tweaking and tuning. It's the way it should be right out of the box. I love it.
And this system helps the longevity of all like the turbo and all that kind of stuff. It's not under heat as much and keeps everything nice and cool because stuff gets hot. I don't know what Polaris does differently. I don't know if it's intercooled on the Polaris or not. But Ski-Doo made a good system. When this came out, as much as everybody's bashing the ice system, I thought this was genius in terms of being able to keep the high boost and high power of the sled and not have to sacrifice the temperatures or risk blowing up a turbo or blowing up an engine.
As anything goes when something's new, we're always going to have the demographic that finds something to gripe about immediately. And, the first thing people go, oh, it's just another liquid that I need to carry with me on my snowmobile, blah, 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 blah. Then don't buy it. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing this to have peak performance and to give you the best thing that they can give. And if you don't want to carry a little bit of boost juice with you, then buy a naturally aspirated. I don't know what else I can tell you. So I'm a no BS kind of guy, and I'll say that to somebody. I don't want to do that. Well, then don't. You don't have to. No one's telling you.
Making you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that people might have been scared with how much they'll use too. And it's another, what is it, $40 a jug? Did you say?
Yeah.
Retail, and it's like they're afraid that, well, I got to put another $40 in every time I ride or whatever it is, and it's not. You didn't use one all season. You use a Gatorade amount, and you ride the pants off a sled. So
and that is a fair point. I mean, if someone's worried about a lot of extra consumption and just the costs adding up, I get it. It's just then again, you still have the choice to not buy it yet. So as the marketplace has been riding it, there's been a lot of user information about how much they're consuming under what conditions. Again, my personal conditions of riding as aggressively as I can and safely as I can, I've used very little to almost none on some trips. So I have over 2,000 K on it, and I've used maybe a Gatorade, which would be like 400 mils.
Yeah, wow.
Is that even, what are
maybe 500?
4 liters.
4 liters?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
3 point something liters.
Think about how much oil that you put in an NA Tech on a weekend ride.
Well, and I mean, that's the balance, because I'm putting less oil and less gas in than a naturally aspirated one. So I guess maybe I'm ahead in all this. So
yeah, it could be. Yeah, Corey Brock says, great point, Jinx. Like, it is totally,
So do we direct people to you when they have to buy ice jugs instead of going to their dealer because you have so many extras for the season?
I have a few, but I also foresee myself being on an 850 turbo for some time now. So
awesome.
So that's saying you're set up.
I think you need to go for more power next season then maybe.
Well, if we could finally get a sled sessions ride in, a big one, I got some business with Massart, so.
Yeah. I feel as NA is going to be right on you after seeing some of the videos of people racing the NAs.
I know part of me was like, oh, we don't get to ride this year. Ah, shoot. Because I think that,
you were like, and even if you did, you probably would have just conveniently forgot your ice jugs at home, right?
Yeah. I just emptied it, siphoned it out. Oh, shoot.
Yeah. I know what the race you're talking about, but you can't race a turbo with a glazed belt and no ice against a naturally aspirated.
Yeah, Master would be out there in the morning at 4:00 running a fresh belt, breaking it in.
Yeah. Honestly, it does make a difference because I'm a bring it home, clean the clutches, take the belt off, clean the sheaves up, all that, blow the brake dust out, and that sled handles dramatically better in the trail getting back on after all that's done. And when you had the guy from Ultimax on, he explained that too. Like, you need to do that little bit of cleaning and maintenance to get the performance out of your sled. And I neglected my clutches after our 1,000-kilometer trip, and I was out with with Corey, who was with us, and I felt like I was leaving some on the table, like not doing that. So it is food for thought.
Yeah, very
no
cool.
maintenance like no maintenance.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
So I snuck.
If you run out of juice, it just switches to more mild tune, correct? And that's right, isn't it?
What's that? Sorry.
All Terrain TV just asked. He said, if you run out of juice, it just switches to a more mild tune, correct?
So my understanding of it is that's pretty much it on the nutshell. But it's going to pull it back once the boost charges are getting hot. But the thing is, like I said, a lot of time you're not a 12-second pull, 10 to 12-second pull on a snowmobile. If you really think about it, and if you're in trails, that's a long freaking time. Like, you run out of room. You run out of room before you're doing that. So the reality is you don't really use a lot of the boost juice because of that reason. And also, if you happen to be out, you're going to still make some boost until the temps get hot, and then it's going to start pulling it back. So that being said, I would be hard pressed to think you're ever going to run out, because the fact of how little it uses over a 1,000-kilometer trip, you would have to neglect the tank all season for it to go empty, as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, there's going to be different experiences. I have read people going through it pretty quickly, but you almost kind of wonder what those conditions are like. But at the end of the day, it's just the cost of doing business. You just fill it up and have fun.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
So what do we got here?
Summit Neo. This is cool.
Yeah, I slid that in there because I thought it was neat, because the Summit Neo got some more horsepower. So that's an 85 horsepower machine now, to make it a little more just usable in the mountains. A couple of our ambassadors, Tony Jenkins and Jeremy Mercer, like their kids are on them, and they were really pumped about the 85 horse, because their kids are, I think, somewhere around 12 years old and very capable. So to get a little more horse out of it, they were excited for that. So that sled definitely is getting the youth into the mountains sooner, which I think is very good for the sport, because it's either you go out with your dad or your mom on their sled until a certain age, and then you maybe sit out until you can ride something that has enough horsepower, because as we know, the mountains is way different. So this gets them into some deeper snow at an earlier age, which I think is really good for the sport.
Right on. It's got a little LED light on the handlebar. That's pretty cool. Is it that on the right by the grab handle?
Yeah, an accessory plot I think they have on there. Yeah,
that is cool.
What were they before for horsepower? Were they 65 or 70? Or what were they before?
There's two, 45 and 65. So now they're
that is actually a good a sizable difference then for mountains.
Yeah, and I might have screwed up the one, but yeah, they upped it and dropped the one.
Yeah, it's a little model that sells very well. Even actually the models that are not the Summit, obviously, because around here we don't sell as many. But for those people trying to get into the sport and they feel that a sled could be a little bit daunting to try, it's a great starter sled. And for teenagers, I think we did have a gap, right? Many people thought 600R was much less than a 850, and they got very surprised when they got on it, because it is just a two-stroke. But this actually filled the void. I think it's quite good, quite capable, and I think it's quite reasonable as well from a price point of view.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, they're great.
Yep. I like that when they released that line alongside the Mini Z reboot as well. Because they obviously have the Trail MXZ Neo and Neo Plus as well.
They just fit that age of rider too, that 12 to 14-year-old.
It's very strange because they're smaller. It's a Gen 4, but it's smaller. It's really weird when you see one on the floor.
They did a lot of
it is a small sled, it's not a full size.
You have one on the floor when we were there, and I was like, because I only ever saw one, I think, at the when they brought all the sleds up to Barrie for the 2023 release. And I saw one, and I was like, I sat on it a little bit, and I'm like, it's crazy. It's just such a smaller machine, but it fits that perfect, maybe if they're a smaller rider, they could put that on the trail when they're 12, but it kind of fits that perfect gap of what do you do after like a 380 fan. If you buy an older Safari, or you buy even if they're just on the MXZ 200, where do they go from there, right? You're not going to put them on the 600R because that up to a certain point is just as fast as an 850 corner to corner. Like,
it's 100-mile-an-hour sled. Like
those things are fast. So
and you know what? It's getting tougher and tougher to find these older fans, right? The 550 fans, and those sleds they're not that easy to find anymore. So you have to find, I mean, this is obviously a great solution because it gets warranty. If you got a couple of kids in the family, you can pass it along. And as I say, for the price, it's good value.
Yeah, because they've been missing that since they got rid of the freestyle all those years ago.
Remember that freestyle with the round lights?
Yeah,
and there was a 380 fan they had. I don't know if it was actually the freestyle was a 550, but they also had a 380. I don't know if that
380
was
fan rev and the 550 rev.
Yeah. I love my 550 rev. That thing was awesome.
Yeah, that freestyle didn't win any beauty contests, but it did what it needed to do.
They're still going. We've seen them in Quebec. Yeah,
fan sleds will run forever. It's a great system. 380 and the 550 fan that we had a 96 and then the 2006.
Yeah,
with 2007 body panels on it. But
I had an 85
and you had,
377.
You had the 85 377 as well. Yeah,
same engine. Yeah, this is cool. I love this in white.
Could talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp. It's a niche market, and we all know that. I added in there just as a talking point. It's just nice to see BRP and Ski-Doo still trying to push the envelope and being the leaders in the industry in many ways. So to have an electric snowmobile is obviously not for everyone, and it has its limitations, and we all know that. You got to take it for face value and what it is and what they're trying to do in the marketplace that's going to use it, and it has its fits and it has its market. Last year with the Uncharted Society tours, and I think a couple ski hills got access to it. This year you can buy it as a consumer, I think. But again, it's going to be mostly for ski hills and places more commercially that it's going to go up and down a hill and get plugged in, run down, like maybe they're, medical guys on the hill, something like that. They got to run down and run back up and then plug it in. And I think that's great. I think there's always the fit for something like that. I'm old school. I like mixing gas and kicking ass and all that type of fun stuff. So it won't be for me, but that's okay. You don't have to buy it. Again, anytime you have a gripe about something, the cool thing is, as an adult, we get to make our own decisions, and you do not have to buy that snowmobile. So
that's right.
But I think it's great.
You're right. It looks beautiful. It really is. They've done a good job. It still looks like a Ski-Doo. It's not trying to be, like to me, like when I see a Taiga, it looks a little awkward to me anyway. I'm not trying to knock the product. It just does not look finished, like a complete robust. This feels like a Ski-Doo. When they open up the side panels, it's so different on the inside. It's just, obviously it will give you about 50 kilometers autonomy or that about. You're going to find those. I think they're running the closest place to here where they'd be running it would be between Quebec and here. Actually, it's in Quebec at Montebello. I think they have them, Corey, as part of the BRP experiences. So it's a place where you can go with Uncharted Society, and they're basically an outfitter, and they do rent those, I believe, on site at Montebello. Now it's a short ride, 50K or so, but for some people it may just be the great experience, right? That's all you need. So
very cool.
It has its role for sure. It has its role, and we all know that, and we got to take it, like I said, for face value and accept what it is and accept what it isn't. And what it is though is it's still a good looking snowmobile. It's still got a Gen 5 4-stroke look, so still.
And it's got a great price. I'll be honest with you, like I expected this thing to come super high dollars because it's EV. Have we seen anything EV cheap so far? No, or inexpensive. This sled, take a guess. Does anybody know? No.
I would say.
Well, how about we just start? I have no clue, but I could throw a number out there just my experience with EVs.
Throw a number.
It can't be much more. I would think it's probably around the comp turbo price. It's probably, I'm not going to say it's any more north than 35, but it's probably about 30, maybe just less.
Yeah. 21,299.
Get out of
What?
here. What?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Sled Tube says 26,995. Yeah, that's awesome.
What?
Yeah. There you go.
So
And I think you captured it, Jean-Luc. It looks like a snowmobile, and it's fully functioning like a snowmobile should be. You know, it's not a weird looking thing. You can't tell that that's electric.
And it looks premium. I mean, there's no better models than the Grand Touring to put an application of electric on. You know, that would not be a fit on a free ride, which is a wild child, so to speak. It's not really meant for Renegade, but I think this is the perfect segment to do the application on. And yeah, 21,299 plus your freight and PI and all that stuff. But you know, you got to buy a charger and things like that. But I really find it like it's they've done a great job. BRP's done a terrific job. So many more stuff is coming out with BRP on EV. It's inevitable, right? It has to be a balanced approach.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, it's not for everybody, but it's neat to see that.
Neither are the electric vehicles have its market, and that will also have its market. And I feel like people just need to stop bashing I don't want to go too far into this, but they need to stop bashing these OEMs, because to a certain extent, it's also no one, like the OEMs, I'm treading on this lightly, but the OEMs really don't want to make AVs. They're kind of being forced. Their hands are being forced to make EVs, and that's all I'm going to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, having worked for a car manufacturer, we would, you know, depending on how what the government looks like is your entire fleet, and your entire fleet emits X amount of carbon tax. So they give you either credits or penalties depending how good or bad you do. You must know this, Drew, because you work for Stellantis. But
I actually do this. I'm technical safety and regulatory compliance, so this is what I do a lot of work with.
So unfortunately, you know, the governments are coming up with these regulations and new legislations. We, as a manufacturer, you have to follow suit. Otherwise, you can't do business in this country, right? So, BRP being a Canadian company, I'm excited about it. We can order it. I'm still debating if I should order one. We've had some customers interested in it. There's no doubt that, you know, the 50-kilometer is a question mark. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to encourage them to go and try it instead, and kind of like rent it before you buy. It may not be the right application for you, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Does it wheelie? That's
I don't think
Corey
so.
Jinks and do wheelies. Does it wheelie? Corey, what do you think of it?
Hopefully the bikes will when those come out.
Yeah. What do you think of this stuff there, Corey?
Well, segueing back into gas powered, you don't get to use this stuff as frequently if you have an electric sled. But that white sled is going to need a lot of degreaser and cleaner. If I'm going to be Vanna White here for a moment and you know, do one of these with the product, you know, that I put that in there because that cleaner degreaser is second to none. Like it works so good on the black stuff. And when I call it black stuff, I mean it's brake dust on the rotor side. I call it the soot coming off the exhaust side. It literally melts off. I did post a little funny video a few weeks ago, and you know, it actually ended up like 50,000 views, which is very shocking because it was just a little goofy video. But it literally falls off. You wipe it, maybe spray it again and wipe it again, and it's gone. And throw some quick detailer on after as a nice little layer, and it's amazing. And I'm not even just saying that. Like, it works so good.
Mm-hmm. It's a great BRP product. Like all the XPS care, they're made for our product, for our plastics, for our metal. But this one, I agree, like that soot on the side of the tunnel, spray it, wipe it. It's a terrific product. So a real funny story real quick. I went to the auto show yesterday, and on the first level where the exotics are, there's this display from a company that produces this. They're actually the chemist behind it all with BRP. And this guy was talking to them. So as I'm looking at the other products they have, and I guess he's got one of those one of those Dodge Challengers. And at the back where the exhausts are, he accumulates a lot of stuff. So he wanted to share with these people. He says, just so you know, a great product you should be promoting and having is this stuff from Ski-Doo. And I'm listening to this. I'm like, I can't believe this. This almost looked planted. He says, I spray this, I wipe it. It cleans up all the chrome of my exhaust and off the bumper. It's terrific. It's the best. And the guy responds, it's our product. We were the chemist behind it with BRP. We designed it with BRP specific for the Ski-Doo. Crazy.
And you were standing right there.
It is a great product. If you don't have this in your artillery or in your garage, you should.
Yeah, actually, Dave Nerona sent me a gift box, and this was one of the cleaners in it. And I find that the more you use it, the easier it wipes up too. Like it's amazing stuff. And I like their S1 clutch cleaner as well, which is dynamite.
It's gonna be slightly ceramic in that sort of sense. Then almost, it's got to have something like that where it kind of leaves a coat after it's wiped.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's an older bottle is why it's still blue, but that goes to show you with how efficient it works, because I don't have to use a whole bottle over one snowmobile each season. Like I've got quite a few bottles, but you know, they've switched to this color and this labeling now. But yeah, I can't say enough about it. It works really good. Again, I always followed up with this quick detailer after, because I think it does help with the re-cleaning of a back to back all the time. You are, I think, supposed to get that degreaser off. Like, don't let it sit on there and leave it. Like in a perfect world, you actually rinse after. I know a lot of us can't really do that in our garages in the winter. So, you know, give it a good wipe. And then that's why I go over it with the detailer to make sure you can kind of get little extra residues out. But that quick detailer works really good. I have no complaints with that. The XPS stuff, you know, you don't want to be gimmicky and just buy it at the Ski-Doo dealer because you're a hardcore snowmobiler and they have a product. Like, these XPS products work, and I can't say enough about it. And I'm happy to be part of that team that I get to experience all the types of things like cleaners, because I'm a clean guy, man. Pickups, work trailers, everything has its place. I'm very particular. So, you know, I'm happy to be a advocate of cleaning products.
Yeah, no, they're great.
Yeah,
I would have thought that when I first got the box, I would have thought it was just another cleaner, but I reached for it through the ATV and the dirt bike and stuff, and it's like it just wipes on. And
believe us, we try a lot of stuff, because I'm very much like my car, and I like to polish everything up, make it all look nice. So I've tried a whole bunch of stuff from Armor All. Chemical Guys is what I stick to for car wash stuff, but honestly, that XPS stuff for cleaning up, like the spraying down your panels and wiping up. And we used it when we were taking apart mine, just like clean up the brake shield and wiping down the tunnel as we were going, and as we were taking it apart and getting to all those crevices. It was just taking that stuff off that definitely had never been cleaned on that sled before since 2018. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And here's your elusive ice jug.
Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that up there to show you what a full jug looks like. Mostly admiring my comp sticker there, but
nice.
Who did those? That's right. No one's told me yet.
I love that.
Great.
Yeah, so a little PR shot there for the ice, and again, we don't have to double back on that too much, but very happy with that product and the consumption. No grapes there.
Awesome. This is my favorite color for this year.
I think it's going to look good on the
bring
snow.
this to the trail sleds, please.
Yeah. So I thought I would slip a little bit in there. I'm not going to pretend to be a pro and know everything about mountain, because it's not my segment. I don't ride them. I don't know what's better or best, and so I won't pretend to. But ultimately, they did tweak the mountain lineup a little bit. The coloring is always popping. The mountain guys usually get some pretty gnarly colors, and that blue is really sweet. In this photo, you'll see they added some new soft storage as an accessory, which is cool. I think in a couple photos we see a few shock pictures as well, but it's a sharp looking sled, no doubt about that.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
the
Did
color.
you see, Corey? Did you see the skis on the yellow version of that? The skis are they have a cool design on it.
Yeah, and the free ride got the skis. I think I added one photo maybe of that ski in there. I don't know. I was firing photos off today pretty quickly.
Yeah, the skis are cool. They're a throwback, I think.
Yeah, because they had the Pilot 5.7s. They used to do one where it was a black base, or sorry, yellow base with the black splatter across it, and they kind of brought that back. I'm gonna pull up a photo on my phone and show it to the camera, but we'll just keep moving here.
Yeah.
So the shocks are different on the summits now.
Jean-Luc, that yellow on the Backcountry, is it different than the yellow on the comp? Like, do you have yellow color?
Yes, it is called flare yellow.
Nice. Yeah,
it's got some green in it, so be prepared for that if you order one. It's not a yellow, it's greeny yellow.
Yeah, the dates, by the way, if you want to see those sleds, the new colors for us near Toronto, it'll be in Vaughan on March 13th. But the dates are on skidoo.com. So if you want to take a look at the sneak peek, they're only one day, and correct me if I'm wrong, Corey, I think it's only 5-6 hours. It's very short. So you want to take a look at skidoo.com for sure.
Yeah, the dates are there. I don't off the top of my head remember. I did go across. I have the whole list of where they're going and how long, but I didn't retain any of that info, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of dates. They're going all across. Unlike in previous years, where for those of you who had attended one of those before, where Arctic, Polaris, and Ski-Doo were all together in oh my God, where did it do it? The greenhouse, right? Someplace in greenhouse.
Yeah, in Barrie. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So now Ski-Doo is doing its own thing for 5 to 6 hours or so. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that one. They used to do them in Western Fairgrounds in London, and they travel all over the place. So yeah, if you've got dates and places, let me know, Jean-Luc, because I'd love to go.
March 13th, Vaughan,
it's
and
the same place it was last year in Vaughan, I believe.
Is it right on? Perfect.
We didn't.
Different place. It's a different venue.
Place this year. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. We'll.
So we see on this they have the E36 shock on this sled now, so they moved to the 3-clicker adjustment.
That's good.
What else we got, Gary?
We didn't have the piggyback style with the clicker, right? They were just a straight KYB, like X. They're almost like an X shock. They weren't like the clicker style, right? On the summits. You're not really a mountain guy, but
they had the adjustable, but it wasn't the 3-stage clicker.
Okay.
As far as I know, anyway.
Sweet.
Yeah, so if you take a look at the picture of ski.com, the yellow one, which is also I think flare yellow on a free ride, has a crazy skis that are just black and yellow, and they're right there. Yeah.
They're awesome.
So they had those, I think, on Pilot 5.7s. You could get something similar aftermarket from Ski-Doo, and that's kind of I think what they were going for. Very cool looking. I love those skis. Those are really cool looking. Just a nice little touch. It adds something.
What's the next picture, Gary? I think I have a photo of that free ride sent to you. Maybe not.
I believe you did send me the lime greeny looking one for sure.
Very nice. And then so this is the Rave GLS.
I like this color.
Again because I just didn't want to not talk about it. Again, it's not my expertise, but it's a pretty sharp sled. Everyone that knows me even a little bit knows that I'm into retro stuff. So the paint scheme right away definitely wins my heart over. But they got the turbo in that machine now, so that's huge for Lynx to offer a turbo. It's a trail sled, so to speak, but it's good looking. They got a couple new LED in the very background of that. If you can see the other Lynx in the background, they have a little LED marker in the front, and it's just sharp looking.
Yeah,
too, but,
I love that.
That's my favorite part. I like it. I like that on the Lynx.
I just think it adds something to it to make it more distinct from a Ski-Doo, and it kind of separates it that one step further. I think that's a great addition to have like a running light, a running LED.
Yeah, and that obviously has the blade on it, so you can even see from the aesthetic of the top view here, it is fairly different. So there are definitely some similarities in the ski, but it's not the same as the new RX.
It's almost like the Ski-Doo's mountain ski, almost on the free ride. It's very similar. It looks very similar to that.
Much bigger ski for sure.
Yeah,
Much
yeah,
bigger.
for sure.
But I agree.
I love that retro.
The stickers are absolutely beautiful. I think they've done a great job. If you take a look at some of the videos, you'll see the previous generations. Well, not many moons generations sled. They've done a good job at celebrating. This is for the 40th anniversary.
Nice.
So they've done a good job at it for sure.
Yeah, I've seen it on snow and it looks amazing. I've seen pictures of it.
I'm glad that Bombardier is doing this because, you know, we've had two of them of the Bombardier 50th anniversary sleds, and I think that's where they did the classic yellow and the classic badging on them. I think that's awesome that they bothered to, one, they made one for Lynx, and two, that it came to North America.
Yeah, I love the spindles and the ski like follows the suit of the decal colors too. Very cool.
Yeah, I like it. It looks good. Yeah, so there you have the Freeride with the new ski colors. I mean, that's not old technology to have the two colors in a mold, but it's nice to see it OEM, right? Because it's just got a neat factor to it. So the boys were excited about this when we were on our call and they saw that. They had a good time with seeing that. So the Freeride obviously is the weapon for a lot of those the big time cowboys out west. That's their sled of choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
you know what I really like
is
the Lynx version, the shredder. If you like the blue, Drew, I'll tell you there's a color called hot chili metallic.
Red, right?
It's like a garnet, but it's really, really cool, and it's painted. Those panels are painted.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
There we go.
And so
I thought that looked really sharp.
So it's gorgeous. It really is beautiful.
So this got some changes this year. Just they did what do they call it? The rack steering on it.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's supposed
like
to help.
the XRS.
It's just supposed to help at high speed on these because these are more meant for jumping, and they're the main point.
It's going to take some of the bad feedback out of the bars. When they clip something hard under the snow or something like that, you're not going to get that real bang in the bars. Obviously, you're going to still feel something, but it's to take some of that away. It seemed to be there was some excitement about that. It adds a little bit of weight, which guys in the mountains are always concerned about, but I think Pro probably outweighs that. So again, I'm not an expert in deep powder riding, and I won't pretend to be. I can speak to it a little, but I do know the guys are always excited when there's still a little bit of stuff that comes out. So they're happy for this one.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Oh.
Talk about the seat.
Yeah,
this
so that's
cool.
A new seat accessory seat. I don't have any photos for the underneath of it, but that seat can come off and store the belt, which again, I'm always sitting in the weeds when the mountain guys get to hear about all this, and they were really pumped about that to get the belt into a more, it's just a useful space to put it because then it's not taking up space somewhere else. They had the battery, or not the battery cover, but like that, they had that kind of cover that went where maybe a battery would go on a trail sled, and that you could put the belt there. So now that frees up some room there. So they seem pretty stoked about that. It is a waterproof cover, so I don't have to worry about the belt getting wet, supposedly. So pretty good for them. I think they're going to enjoy that.
That's clever. Like that's listening to mountain riders too, right? Where do you put the belt, and it's got to be dry and accessible and not cramped up in a tight little ball either. It's looped around in there.
Panels, when there's not, they've really slimmed up the bodies with the Gen 5 on the mountain sleds. So you got to think of how much room that'll also free up in terms of their hood space, what they're doing there. So I think that's a great spot. I could even see that even being potentially even a trail thing too, moving it under the seat. It's kind of a smart spot because that current belt cover is a little bit bulky, and it's a pain to get the belts in and out of it too.
Yeah, and ultimately,
it's just because you have to take it's a really tight space, and they could really slim up the body panels more if they kind of could make that belt cover smaller, the shield smaller. Sorry.
Well, ultimately, the belt doesn't go in the panels of a Gen 5 mountain sled. It doesn't fit there. So they have the cover and case for it that goes on the back. So this ultimately gets rid of that as well. So Gen 5 panels are completely different on the trail sled versus a mountain sled. They're quite a bit narrower you can see how they fit around the CVT and all that. And the interior of the panel is even different too. They have that little door to fill the oil reservoir up. So it is quite a bit different from trail to mountain. Again, we have the luxury of storing our belt in the panel, which traditionally works fine. So it's good.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. This is something that was kind of neat. I was wondering why you sent me a picture of the left hand controls, and it wasn't until you pointed out that, yeah, they moved some things around for improved ergonomics on this. And it's like, now I look at it and go, yeah, it's great, actually.
Yeah, so they've made the thumb warmer a little more accessible from the handlebar with the thumb. What you'll notice, because it's obviously in a different spot, but not only that, there has been some feedback with the ergonomically and how it works. So obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. So the way this works is you hit the button and it controls both thumb and hand at the same time. And that was a bit of a gripe with a lot of riders. So with the update in the screen in the module, that's the nice thing about the technology that's in that screen and in the cluster, is that it has the ability to be adapted in an update. So you'll be able to get an update through the dealer for your current sled if you have this hand control. So you'll be able to control both thumb and hand grips separately for temperature. Thumb, I should say. So that's pretty sharp, because sometimes your thumb's a little colder than your hand. It's just the way it is. So that is a nice little ergonomic change.
Yep. Because currently you have to stop to change the ratio of the bar to the thumb, which I can see why that's annoying. I'm really glad they did that. I kind of wish they still had it as two separate buttons. I kind of just wish they'd go back to the old gauge pod, in my opinion. But I can see at least they're taking rider feedback, and that's good, because this can only keep getting better, right? So good change though. Yeah,
and I think that's your volume and Smart Shock button to the left of the OK, up and down, which is intuitively a great spot for it.
It's a better spot too.
It is totally, like, you don't have to. The top button on the left is for your gauge controls. So if you want gauge, if you want your stats, if you want music, if you want it's your apps button. Yeah. Yep. So that's a good spot for it, because you rarely touch that. I mean, once you put the maps on, you leave it, and then that's where the actual handlebar heater button was, which I love where they put it now, because it's accessible by your thumb. You don't have to do a little finger jig to get it. And then if it looks like that's a 3-position or a Smart Shock type selector there, or your volume control would be on that as well.
Because I think the current icon has those 3 boxes and it's in gear. So I think that is going to be your Smart Shock volume. And I like that too, because now it's just
right there.
2 main buttons that you're going to use while riding, which is going to be the Smart Shock, and your heat grip is just like this. It's now just a small thumb moving away.
Yeah, so I love that.
Good change.
Jean-Luc, do you guys buy any mountain sleds from Jean-Luc's dealership, Energy Power Sports?
Yeah. The funny thing is, you won't. For some of you may not believe that, but because we're literally almost downtown Toronto, but we sell a lot of mountain sleds here. It's crazy. I never understand it. It always makes me super nervous. This year we sold, I want to say about 14 Summits. The majority, 10 of them, were Summit X Turbo Experts package. And the balance were probably free rides. But yeah, we do have right now in our showroom a Summit X 165. I'll tell you, it's a 165 Turbo R Powder Max with a flex edge and a 3-inch battle, and a big screen. Not a sled I want to keep, obviously, but this sled has a bit of a story behind it. As many people may know, there are many, fraud and we were lucky enough that we were able to stop it from before it left. So it was So it's
Wow.
staying inside the dealership until it gets sold to a real person who's going to really use it.
Wow, that's
That's
crazy.
that one.
Yeah, we
65.
sell always
Yeah.
a dozen a year at least. Yeah.
And I will say that is a really nice machine as well for someone that's looking for.
Well, it's a gorgeous sled. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
sled.
When I was in the dealership, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I can't believe this is a leftover, but it's a great machine. So, but wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta watch this.
And the big news, which a lot of people are excited for, is the module for the map. So
Yes.
it eliminates the phone connectivity and some of the problems that people are experiencing out there and frustrations with plugging your phone in and not having a cellular signal while you're riding. So
Yeah, this is a big ask. A lot of people were really disappointed right away when even the other screen came out, the 7.2, and it wasn't integrated. But good things come to those who wait, I guess. I think there's still advancements, and I think there's still abilities to make this better, but it's a step in the right direction. Especially the mountain guys.
There's going to be more to come, right?
Yeah, for sure. And the mountain guys can track their ride now and do some breadcrumbing and without service, which is good. You do need the app for a few features still. But I will say my app and my phone ran very seamlessly this year. It worked very well. I think between the update that I have in the screen and I have a newer phone, I think is part of the successes. This year it worked very well. So I have no real gripes about that. Even when I was in and out of service, the map would let me know, but it still popped up and still operated fine. So it's still doing what it needs to do for me. As an Ontario resident, we're not going to see some of the benefits that this gauge has that others will see, but that's not necessarily BRP's fault either. So, yeah.
I think once you have the module, though, like the updates, like anything, like updating your sled through Wi-Fi, you're at least there, and it's as they push that through the system and the network, it's easy to make the change, right?
That's right.
Okay, a lot of Ontario riders think we're converted to Quebec riders this year. So I took this screenshot earlier. This is actually it on. You can go on the parts. Just look it up. It's embedded maps on Ski-Doo's main website for Canada. That's the price: $99.99 CAD or $79.99 USD. Honestly, a good price. This is for your 2024 and 2023 sleds. And that's it. I think that's a fair price to add it to a machine. I heard some people are like, it should be a free update. Come on, let's be real here. So but it comes on every 25 with the 10.25 inch gauge. That's actually a misconception I saw on Facebook already, with people thinking that it was an accessory you had to add, but no, it's a 2025 10.25 inch gauge. Gets the maps. This is only for 24, 23.
Yep. Adds GPS tracking, adds embedded maps, and allows GPS mapping and tracking without a cell phone. So I think that was one of the things is that when they first mentioned it, it seemed like it was just dropping breadcrumbs. It wasn't really the navigation that we're used to with our phones. And by reading this, it sounds like it's everything that it's cracked up to be. But again, it's going to need some work with the OFSC and things like that before we can,
Does this need JL, do you know, or maybe even Corey, do you know if this needs any work at the dealer to work, or can you just put this on the 24 and plug and play?
So I've heard both, to be honest with you, and it's funny because we're placing orders of some of those parts right now. I think it will come down to I think you do need to have I think you need to have buds, as I understand it. I mean, I'm hearing both, so I don't know just yet. I really don't have the right answer. I want to say something out of school, but inevitably, I mean, I think from a warranty and all that stuff, you should probably make sure that the dealer installs it so it's done right. The price is great. I agree with you. I think that everybody is expected to be more, but
$100.
I think it's a completely fair price to add it to a 24, 23. And I mean, people are always going to complain about having to spend money, but when you think about it, this is already however much you spent on your machine when you bought it in 24, 23. $100 to add this feature, which really, like, we've had, you know, we've everybody has mixed reviews on the screen. Engage with your phone, and a lot of people do just use it for the buddy tracking. A lot of the mountain guys and even just trail riders just want to use it for the breadcrumbing and stuff like that. So I think this is really going to be a big change for those guys. But I think it's a recommended product for everybody that has the gauge. I think this is I think it technically will add value to the sleds too, a little bit of the older ones maybe, to some people.
I'm just reading. It says that, and I'd never seen this time before, but a software update will be required to use the built-in navigation feature. That probably means buds, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not remote.
Well, you're gonna have it. You're gonna have a dealer installed anyway, for the most part, likely. So, and you'd be kind of silly not to, as long as you're not a million moons away from your dealer and you can get your sled there in a reasonable amount of time. Then just do it. Then you know it's done right, and you're not going to question yourself. That's all I could say. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, and anyone that doesn't see value in it and it doesn't seem to be worth $100, like I said, then don't buy it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah,
So,
maps aren't for everybody either, too. Like I know some people that could care less if they had the big gauge in the maps, and you know, like, so that's the thing. It isn't for everybody, you know. So
here's the mountain bag.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's out of order. So that's a picture you sent me.
Yeah, I touched on that. The new soft mountain bag. They are. I always use they because the mountain fellas, as on the whole, we're excited for a little more appealing storage. There was a glove box extension that truthfully didn't look super great on a mountain sled. It kind of gave it that mohawk look. That was a tough look for the mountain sled. So this is a little more line and still get some storage out of it, so they were happy with that accessory.
Yeah, that's a good look.
I love how they make the yellow inside. It looks so sharp.
Yeah, it does. It looks cool. And you know what? I'd be able to see if I left it open because it would be glowing at me.
Well, it's in front of you,
right in front of me.
Yeah, your bags, all your Lynx stuff. You need to start riding a snowmobile backwards, so all the link is in front of you. And that way
I think so. I'm
all
going
the stuff.
bumper
If you
mount.
had this one, all the stuff he's hitting him in the face as he's riding. Oh, there goes the 360 camera. There goes.
There's hail. It's hailing like crazy. Ooh. And this is kind of new. It's just an accessory they come out with to update the oxygen helmet. It's a ventilation system in the visor that you can open and close to let more air in, and it's supposed to cool the helmet by 10 degrees. Yesterday was a hot day on the trails with the oxygen. I didn't mind it. I didn't wear a balaclava under it yesterday. But this would have been great. I had my vents open, but I mean, to easily be able to access one button would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I could have used a Pyra yesterday. Oh man.
Spring riding.
Yeah, no, and that's a nice upgrade or update. I talked to Paul about it. He's already using it on his helmet, and he obviously really likes it. And he says that it's just more of a function thing, right? Like, yeah, we can crack the visor on our current ones, but from a control standpoint, you're not really controlling the volume and the snow dust as much. So this is gonna be able to, because it's obviously not just on or off, you've got a couple stages in it, so you'll be able to control a little bit more air through there. And again, a little bit mitigates some of the wind across your face, because cracking the visor, I run with it cracked pretty much all the time when I wear my oxygen, and you can kind of feel a little windburn going on if it's really cold, but I still prefer it cracked versus completely sealed. I'm kind of a warm-bodied person, so I do get a little warm in that helmet, and that is obviously something that they've heard through other riders. So adding the ventilation system was good.
Yeah, I also run I also like, I don't know, just me, I always used to pop in the visor open at stops. I kind of hate, it's not hard, but it's a bit of like a pull to get it up. So I always just leave it down or just one click up and just let a little more air in. Even when it was minus 30, minus 25 riding in Quebec, I still had it clicked up, one open with it just set on high, and it was fine like that. So I'm interested in the visor.
Yeah, and it works with your existing oxygen. Plus, if you have the LED light in the chin like we have, it doesn't impede that as well. It's it'll still shine through the bottom part of that visor, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I'm pretty spoiled. I do tend to pick a helmet based on weather because I have that ability, but it can also be a little bit of a pain because I'm like, ooh, what helmet do I pack? What helmet do I bring? So to make a helmet a little more versatile is great. And for the average consumer that wants to buy the one helmet that does everything well, the Oxygen is definitely a contender. The new Advex is a great helmet too. There's a lot of pros to that. I do think that between the Oxygen and the Advex, it's still preference because they function differently. So you're allowed to have your opinion, and you're always going to be entitled to your opinion. So someone might like the Advex and someone might hate it. Same thing with the Oxygen, but they both do their job very well.
Yeah, for sure. Jean-Luc, do you have a MSRP on just the visor alone?
I'm sorry, you cut out there.
Is there a price on the visor for if you wanted to add it to your Oxygen helmet?
So interesting. So as of this morning, I'm told that there is no kit.
Okay.
There won't be kits just yet. I'll have to get back to you on that. Right now, there'll obviously be replacement parts for that helmet, for the flow, but they're not going to be providing immediately anyway on the short term the kits, the retro kits. That's what I understand. So
good to know. Good to know. So
yeah,
Lynx needs a whole helmet anyway. So there you go.
Right.
He's
great
going to
news we
be.
sell.
So I guess Advex it is then.
No, you buy the whole helmet.
Well,
the whole Oxygen.
You know what? It's interesting. I mean, I ride both, much like Corey. Obviously having access to all this stuff, but I love Oxygen for certain things. I love the look of Advex. You do have to get used to having the entire thing open, but once you figure this out and you figure the venting of it, you don't really open your helmet.
Yeah.
Often, but it depends on temperature. It depends on sunny and all that good stuff. It's just so many different variables, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But they're both great helmets. There's no doubt Ski-Doo has made a great helmet on both sides of the fence. Yeah, no, it is. I like the Oxygen. It's great, and that vent would be really cool.
There's one accessory that we forgot to talk about, and it's they're selling the BRP Vibe communicator, the one that's comes with you can get for the Advex that fits into it. They're selling that as a standalone accessory this year, as it appears. So that'll be good if you want to run those with your group.
Yeah.
Typically, other set of communicators, you can't cross pollinate between brands. So if you want to get your whole group hooked on the one BRP Vibe communicator, then they sell the kits for those now, which is pretty cool.
Right.
That's just something to add.
There is this year Ski-Doo's coming out with a monosuit, a full. Really, I mean, they look awesome. They look really, really cool. I don't know, Corey, if you've seen the black and yellow one with the it's at the risk of saying it looks a little bit like FXR. It looks that much fun. As you know, FXR does a lot of kind of crazy colors and all that stuff. So this one is up that alley. It looks pretty, really cool, and it's a bit of a throwback. My dad used to have monosuits way back when. So yeah, that's the one right there. Yeah. Is that? No, that's not the one. Is that the one?
This is a mono. This it's the only mono one I have a photo of.
Okay.
It's yellow and blue pockets. I don't know. There could be more.
Yeah.
That's just all I got to see. Everything else is.
Yeah. So they got some cool clothing that are coming out as well, and that's sort of. I think that's a ladies' version. This one, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. We didn't get a bunch of details on clothing yet. I got some photos, but we usually have a pack conversation a little bit later.
Yeah. And
you're saying that Corey Jinks should wear ladies. You're saying Corey Jinks should wear ladies' version of it?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I did
keep this girlish figure, right? You got to stay on the lights.
Yeah, I don't know. Exactly. I did see that the ladies' version of those monosuits also has like an easy zip to access the rear end, as we should say. It kind of like how you can buy like a lot of them, the monosuits like drops off the whole bottom of it. So
You got it.
They really did think that through at least. And there's different colors for both the male and female side. Oh, I think that my dad's adding one more photo here.
I got a few more photos Jean-Luc sent in late at the 11th hour, so we better show them.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'll comment on that. So a few years back, I bought a cottage. Well, I moved cottages, and the gentleman that had it before me, that room there was a shed. Actually, he built the entire cottage and its furniture out of that shed. It was literally a carpentry shed, and it sat for a few years. I didn't exactly know what to do with it. I wanted a different vocation, and I spoke to Corey Brock, who's online right now, and I said, Corey, I'd love for you to help me to kind of design and kind of create something really, really cool. I'm thinking of having a bar, and it's missing a couple of things there. We've added some things since then. But I want some really, really cool. I want to basically make it like a man cave. The part you don't see is there's a big 80-inch screen TV. Now we have an Xbox plugged into it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I have a nice fireplace, a wood fireplace there. We have some furniture now, some really cool furniture. But Corey found the metal of the back, just basically a tin roof that he found at a place, and he just he designed it, and it's so cool. Everybody that's came into this shed so far, it's becoming the hangout in the bar on the lake. It's awesome. It's so cool. Yeah. So I'll tell you this, the speed at which he's created this and executed, from cleaning it, roughing it, floor, paint, the decor, everything, the structure, it was so fast. I think he did in 4 days. I couldn't believe it. Great worker.
That's because the trails weren't open, Jean-Luc. Had the trails been open,
had you not called the club ahead of time and told them to close the trails for that 4-day period.
Yeah, but he does great work. He does some work for the dealership from time to time. Corey's an outstanding guy. I can't say enough about him. He's more than a client. Obviously now he's fallen to a different category, but what a great work. If you need some stuff done, he does much better, bigger things than that. But what a guy. Yeah.
No, it's good, and he's helped me on a few projects, and it's and very meticulous and attention to
super
detail.
meticulous, super clean.
Yeah. OCD.
Yeah, does a great job.
Yeah.
Totally OCD. Yes.
It needs a kegerator, and I said it needs a vintage sled in there as well. So
so we're on the hunt for that. Yeah, I'm looking for. I was born in 1972, so that's sort of what I'm kind of chasing right now.
Perfect.
But,
yeah.
Have a 2018 you can put on the wall if you want to do that.
2018, I don't know.
Rob Reinhardt says, Jinksy, addressing the white elephant, how successful you were at racing the Comp Turbo against other sleds. And the Stoker Freerider was running a glazed belt and no ice. Great guy, but let's be honest.
It's going to be situational for sure, of the sled itself, the surface that it's on, and all the things that go along with it, stud pattern, how many studs. There's a lot of variables in racing, and I didn't get an opportunity to go against a boost at any time, mostly because I don't associate myself with Polaris riders. Just kidding.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, but I have one, I call him an acquaintance, a guy that I have ridden with. He's a buddy of a buddy that has one, and we just never really crossed paths this year, but we definitely had a little chat going at the beginning of the season. So if I happen to see him, it's on for sure. Anybody I did race out of a friend group, I made light work of it. In the situations that I was in, it was successful. But that being said, I have a few family members that are running like 300 horsepower sleds that I just make sure I don't talk a big talk in front of the wrong people, because that doesn't go well for me. So I'm not a lake racer. I'm not the guy that needs to be to the end first. So I don't ever bring it up because I don't care to be. But if anyone ever wants to line up a sled, I'm happy to do it and see, because you can't hurt my pride. It's fine. I don't have to be the first one into the lake. If you win, fine. But that being said,
true.
a couple NA 850s caught the smoke for sure. Like, it wasn't even close. A buddy on a new 900 Turbo R. I was really surprised because I wasn't changing my suspension for this, so my sled didn't really transfer a lot. So with him being a little bit bigger guy, his sled really transferred and hooked up with a pre-studded track better than my studded track. And I was really surprised because he took off and I'm like, oh shit. I was like 2 or 3 sled lengths right away. I went, oh, I'm not getting that back. But then I started crawling. I crawled him and I pulled him, and I also didn't let go of that throttle until I know I had him by a few sled lengths. But it was very interesting to see that play out, because I thought I would need to get him out of the hole and then hold it, and it would be kind of very similar all the way down the lake. But I reeled him in the midsection where the sled is very impressive in the mid. That's where I reeled him in. And I'm open to seeing if I can get anybody else out on a lake, but conditions don't look so good for us anymore. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe watercross.
Yeah, that'd be great to see you skipping across the lake there.
We saw that
For sure.
yesterday in Dorset.
Yeah, I was going over the
Dorset
bridge, and there's guys on
River
the bridge looking over the edge, and I look, and it's really open right now. And there's a guy going through on a Gen 4.
No, it was a player switchback.
No, it wasn't. It was a Gen 4
No, it was
Ski-Doo.
players.
No,
way. it's
definitely. I
skipping
got it
was
on
water
video.
skipping. Did you actually?
Yeah, I got it on video. Yeah.
Jeez.
So, yeah, good show.
Speaking of
Corey
playing
says.
equipment.
Mike Galit says, good show. Fair answer. All good. Rob Reinhardt said. Jean-Luc wants to know what Massart has for 72s. There we go.
Massart said he's got 70. He's got, what was his exact words? How many 72s you want? I have a few. He does have.
He does. Jean-Luc wants good ones, though.
Oh, dang.
Jean-Luc
Very
Jinks,
clean.
Drew and Gary. Yeah, thank you. Oh, his will be clean. Thank you for another great Monday night. Cannot believe this Friday is March already. I know. Jean-Luc, when does spring orders go till, and when does it end?
So it opened up last week after club, and will close on April 2nd. It's a little bit longer than I think the last couple of years we've had, but only by a few days. And of course, this year we get a February 29th, which is leap year, my birthday. Just saying. But yes, we do have an extra day. It will close basically 2 weeks after I think the tour occurred. So you don't have a ton of time. If you want to look, what does the yellow on the backcountry really look like? Those sleds will be there at the show.
Right
So
on.
only the spring colors only. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And logistically, for people across this great continent, where do you deal in, Jean-Luc? I know you've had people from New Brunswick coming to you from the show and things like that. Like, get in touch with Energy Power Sports and ask any questions you have, and you'll point them in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we always encourage, to be fair to the other dealers, to order locally if you can. But if you do want to deal with us, we think we're pretty good too. And yeah, absolutely. Just give us a call. We'll try to place your spring order. The big difference this year is you've got to put down $1,000 as opposed to the usual $500. So they did change this year the rule. They really want to make sure that people will commit, and I think $1,000 is maybe more meaningful than only $500, right? So you got to be ready to put a deposit, a non-refundable deposit of $1,000, as opposed to $500.
Right on.
And just a little word on that, just so I can, I'll talk on behalf of the dealers right now. So people say, how come it's not refundable? Well, imagine this. The sled we have here, the Summit X, is, a unit that we especially ordered for someone. That's the sled they wanted. Not a sled we would typically order on a what we would call in-season sled, right? So a dealer is making an order, and in Canada, depending on legislation, but most of the provinces in Canada, when a car dealer, or truck dealer, or otherwise, places a special order for you, they're basically putting the risk out there and committing to the factory producing something unique for you. And that's your choice. It's what you want it to have. When you're stuck with it, it's not a lot of fun, unfortunately. You have to dispose of it. So that is the reason behind it, obviously. And but we try to slow down the process. We want to make sure that you're ordering exactly what you need, what's right for you, because we certainly don't want to end up with a bunch of Summit X's on the floor. It's kind of rare. This is the first time it happens in 5 years, so it's not so bad. But yeah, so you have until April 2nd to place your order. We can do it by phone if you know exactly what you're looking for. The key is there are so many, like I'm looking at the screen over here on the side, there are so many order number and order codes with those new tracks with turbo engines now that has added so many more SKUs. So we have to be absolutely precise. And you have if let's say you're to order tomorrow and you change your mind next week, you have until April 2nd to change your mind. We have to change the certificate. BRP is really great about that. They get us to print a certificate, which we give you a copy of. It is your proof that you've ordered that unique sled from BRP. The $1,000 you give us, dealers, actually goes to BRP. It doesn't stay in our bank account. It goes to BRP. And then they're the holder of that money.
Good stuff. energypowersports.ca. And Jinksy, how do people stay in touch with you if they don't know already?
You can follow me on social media, Facebook, JINKSBOY. I also have my full name there. You'll probably find my personal one. I don't tend to add people in my personal one, so look for my athlete page or Instagram's best, which is at JINKSBOY.
Yeah, right on. Just like the decal says on the thumbnail of this video. But thank you for your insight today. That was an awesome show. Really exciting. Jean-Luc, thanks for hanging out with us for the night. I know you're a busy guy, so it's neat to get the dealer perspective on this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Sorry I could not be on it as often as I usually have been in the last few years. It's just been super challenging. It's been tough this year for all kinds of reasons, but soon you'll find out why. I'm busy.
Right on. Right. Can't wait. But thank you guys, and I'll just roll the credit. And thanks everybody for the engaging chat tonight as well. And hopefully we'll find Jean-Luc a 72 in this process.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm curious. I get lots of links from Corey Brock. He sends me all on Facebook Marketplace, and we'll definitely find something. I want to hang it up. It's gonna look good.
Yeah, Massart said that he knows a guy's got some in crates still. So
there you go.
You want to go that clean?
That may be seminars. Maybe
that it would be. So I told him I could tell him I could send him in your direction. He knows a lot of guys for vintage stuff.
That would be awesome. There you go. Anyways. You get the original crate to go with it too.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys. Be good. Make sure you hit the like button and
stay tuned.
Subscribe if you're not already subscribing.
Thanks, Cheers. Corey. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Corey. Thanks,
well, guys.
Yep.
It's a journey for